Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Who was convinced out of his will to come here? Who didn't want to come here, and he was like, you know what, no, let's just go and see. People who wanted to come? Who did not. No, I'm not going to pick on you guys. I just want to know yeah, okay, that's just one. Okay. Two. Okay. Because this is going to be a little tough. I'll tell you, two things are going to happen today, inshallah. We're going to make a few decisions. Not together, not as a group. Inshallah, one day we will as a group. That's the ultimate objective. But we are going to make some conscious choices. My job here is, I'll tell you in detail. Can you get rid of this picture? Yeah, that's pretty narcissistic of, no, make sure okay. Kills the whole objective, isn't it? Thank you. So, let me just introduce you the very purpose of so many people coming together to make this tour happen, and I would like to thank you all to actually show up in Canberra. This is the first time I'm assuming Canberra is actually going through these sort of movements at a level where everybody comes together in these kind of universities and halls talking about core issues. Who is a non-Muslim here? Who's not a Muslim? Everybody? Muslim? Yeah. So you have an eye on me. I need you to keep an ear on me too. Okay? So let me just introduce you to the tour. Awakening Tour is a two-step process. You don't have to take both of the steps. Actually, you're halfway in the first step already. We're going to do two things. We're going to connect everybody together, inshallah, around the world, from literally Australia to America, literally, inside a task group. A task group means, some certain activities where all of you guys can come together and help each other get 3 or 4 core skills which are required at whatever age you are, because there are different skills required at different age brackets, as a woman, man, child, boy, father, and measure your worth in the bigger objective. Literally measure it in numbers, numerically measure it. I'll tell you how. It's all right. Don't stop the child from being a child. Actually, that's one of the things Muslims are doing really well. We stop the children from being children. Okay? Trust me, nobody else is doing it. And Desis are doing an awesome job at this. Who's not a Desi? It's Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan. Who's not from these 4 countries? Everybody's from here. So we all know what I'm talking about. And there's a reason why I'm not speaking Urdu today, because this is going to be broadcasted to age groups which do not understand Urdu. That's the only reason. Otherwise, हम सबको पता है असली बात उर्दू में कर सकते हैं हम और ज़्यादा दिमाग की नस पे लगेगी जाके वो. But that's not the objective. See, there's a bigger objective at play. I don't want to lose anybody, especially kids, especially in New Jersey, Miami, Auckland, and hell, in Melbourne and Sydney, because they have been mothers and fathers. The gap between a parent and a child, and I'm not going to give you this boring mumbo jumbo of all of that, because most of you guys are not parents, and even if you are, parenting is not, the single common topic between, you and her. So I'm going to give you all of those things which are going to be really common, really pertinent, and really juicy. Okay, really juicy, especially girls and boys together. So where was I? Before the parenting happened. Oh yes, sir. Yeah, I need you guys to keep a little tab on me so that because these things keep happening to me. So there's a 2-step process. Awakening is a general word. But it's for Muslims, you know what's going on in Gaza. We all know that. But this is not news. This is not news. What's the biggest problem happening in Gaza? Anybody? I'm just taking it as an example. That's not the problem. Yes, sir. Occupation? That's the biggest problem in Gaza? Think about it. The biggest problem of Gaza. Canberra, come on. This is a university campus. I need a very acute, surgically placed answer.
I think it's a fight between faiths. Different faiths are fighting with each other. And if the territories people are after a promised land, I'm not going to name a certain religion, but some people think it's a promised land to them.
Jews think like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Why aren't you naming them? The Quran talks about it. Yeah. And they're not so wrong. They are promised. Bani Israel is promised. They themselves claim that Bani Israel is also promised. You know what the Jews, because I've lived with the Jews, I've studied under the tutelage of, not Judaic philosophy, but science, but they were rabbis who taught me science in different universities. But they themselves know that, there are two covenants. The eschatology has only two races. Bani Israel is going to survive, yeah, and Bani Ismail is going to survive. And we all have all the hadiths. So they know the covenants. It's not just one covenant. In the Quran, Allah says, ask them for what covenant are they referring to. Allah is not denying it. We were told that in this ayah, Allah is denying it. No, Allah says, ask them what is the detail of that covenant. That's what the ayah means. Were they not told to obey and fulfill that covenant through and through? Was that not the covenant? Again, I'm not going to go into detail of that. The question is totally different. What is the biggest problem, well, the only problem, the real problem of Gaza? Yes, ma'am.
So the problem is that what Jews are doing, they know what they are doing, but we don't know. They are the Jews of their books, but we are not the Muslims of our own book.
No, that's half correct. They are the Jews of the Quran.
Yes.
We are not the Muslims of the Quran. They are the Jews of the Quran. So you were right there. You just didn't land it. Good job. But that's not the problem. Come on. Yes.
They're trying to eliminate the Muslims so they could build a third temple there for the Jews.
Sulaiman as-salam is our prophet too, So their temple helps us in so many other ways.
They'll get rid of the Masjid al-Aqsa.
I'm just trying to give a spin on your answer. That's not the real problem with Gaza. I'm trying to open up your brains and minds because this is an icebreaker. This is nothing to do with actually it has everything to do with my tour, but I just want to build it up.
I think it's an acutely biased narrative coming out of the powerful side of the camp. It's not
Couldn't get the last part of your statement? Coming out of the powerful side of?
the camp. So there are two sides of the camp. One is powerful, both in terms of the military, in terms of the economy and politics. The other side of the camp actually is weak. So it's an extremely biased narrative from that side of the fence that holds the power.
If there is enough time today, we are going to talk about both the narratives. If. 'Cause as I said, we planned this tour. Gaza has been like my core subject. Actually, I think I have more research about Palestine and that thing called Israel than most people that I know of my age. So we're not gonna, because this tour is going to carry the burden of Gaza, inshallah. Because we all, are bleeding.
Everything is a real problem. The problem is not with others. They will always perceive you on own board. The problem is with us.
There you go. Finally, so that's the best answer. So what's your name?
To go after each other.
Oh, you missed. Okay, you were about to land the plane. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, generally, yeah, you're right. So the problem with Gaza, the Palestinian, any Palestinian in the house? The problem that Palestinians are facing, the people of Gaza are facing, is not the Judaic philosophy. Absolutely not. They've been here way before the Muslims, let alone Gaza. Okay? They never cause problems. The problem with Gaza is the twisted Muslim philosophy. I'll say it again. The problem that Palestinians are crying about, that little children are dying in Gaza, is not America, Israel, or the UN, or Germany, or Australia for that matter, or Luxembourg, or Micronesia. These are three constant votes Israel always gets, right? Your country, America, and Micronesia. That's not the problem. Let's admit the truth. Let's start the awakening tour. The people of Gaza are suffering from you and me. We are the disease. This is as simple and as common a truth I can actually express. A 4-year-old child cannot deny it. It's like there's this guy coming in, or I just grab this guy, start beating him up, me and 10 other dudes, and nobody else does anything in the room, and then he says, what's the problem? Everybody says, what's the problem? He's going to say, oh, those 10 dudes and I was alone. Yeah, you were alone, that's the problem. 10 dudes is not a problem. I'll tell you, let's just flip it and let's do. If any one of us, well, you know what, we're too brave about our own selves. If my daughter, your sister, or little children of our own homes were to be in Gaza, we would realize the worth of every other Pakistani Indian or any other Muslim. As soon as we put our child in Gaza, we'll know the worth of every other Muslim. That's how you calculate the worth of the whole community. That's how simple. Everybody does that. It's not. I'm not giving you anything new. Okay, so I just wanted to open your minds up because today I didn't want to miss out on talking about Gaza. And we can talk about the Judaic philosophy, the Torah and the Talmud for hours and hours. The third temple, the second temple, and the first temple. Actually, before that, the breaking of the tabernacle by Moses alayhi salam himself. We can go as far as back in history. And I've been giving arguments to the Jews. When they say, it's the promised land, we were way before way before the Palestinians. So I just tell them that why don't you just, take Egypt as well? Because you were cleaning toilets in Egypt way before Gaza. Under the Pharaoh, right? You want to go history? Yeah, we can build up that argument. But that's not the point. That's not the problem. And we're not here to open a debate about Gaza. What I'm saying is, there's a purpose of this tour. I'll tell you something. And I want to tell you only things which are actually coming from me, about me, and my team, so that I won't tell you, those stories from the books. If I only am going to open a book, I'm going to open the book of Sirah, so that you and I can connect with each other, through our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are many philosophies in the world, very many. You name a community, it's going to be backed up by an ideology. That ideology will be connected through some sort of a philosophy in some part of the era. We do not have that sort of misfortune. All of that burden of thinking, philosophy, theorizing, and then contemplating the bigger truths was done by our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't have to go through that burden which the Europeans had to go through over and over and over again into 15, 16, 1700. And so actually till date, the postmodernist philosophers are at it. They have to go every single day, recorrecting themselves. And 10 years from any publication of any book, from let's just say Nietzsche to this time, or whoever is publishing right now, 10 years from now, it will be refuted. Ironically, Muslims are gifted by the Quran. Now I'm not going to count or give you a ballpark of how many people are trying to refute the Quran, but it doesn't really matter to a regular Muslim, alhamdulillah, that whatever or wherever Quran is trying to be refuted by whoever, doesn't really matter. That is the power that you and I share. Even if, God forbid, the whole world starts to try and refute the Quran or rationalize some theory against it, it doesn't really matter to us till today. till today, till whatever we can see. Because God forbid, na'udhu billah, may Allah save our children, because we do not know of what's going to happen to our kids. Because maybe the way things are going, maybe, because it's not going to come from outside Islamic circles. I'll tell you this right now. If anything is going to come against the Quran with enough power to shake the Muslim, it's not going to be from outside the Muslim circles. It has to be a Muslim. Make sure you understand. That's another statement of common sense I'm giving you. It's happened to many philosophies, groups, and communities. Hell, even a Shia cannot prove a Sunni wrong, and a Sunni cannot prove a Shia wrong. Only a Shia can prove a Shia wrong, and a Sunni can prove a Sunni wrong, to create that deterrent in the bigger number of people inside the community. We all know that. So a Muslim has to create that sort of deterrent. And I'll tell you where those Muslims are, I'll tell you. They are in Pakistan, India, Australia. They're just 6-year-old right now. They're 7, maybe 10. Are they suffering from malnutrition? No, they're being fed really well. They're being air conditioned to perfection. They're being nursed. What they're not getting is that core central element of belief which you and I were gifted with the will of Allah Azza wa Jal and the help of our parents. Okay? And I'm going to show you the structure of how it works. I'm going to play 2 games with you guys, 2 activities, so that you guys can get connected and understand the structure of this program. We are Muslims, we do not believe in coincidences. In our core philosophy, there are no coincidences. Whatever is happening is designed by Allah Azza wa Jal. So a guy from Pakistan walks around, I don't know how many thousand miles are we from Pakistan? Anybody has ever? 89,000? Really? Oh, yeah, because 25,000 miles is okay. So about 9,000, well, that's a little less, but okay. Thousands of miles, a guy comes from Pakistan, literally, from Islamabad, the capital, to Canberra, the capital, to on a certain date and day, which is pretty, coincidental. And all of you guys, I'm talking about you, think about your own self right now. Think about the way all of this happened and you ended up in this seat. This is not a coincidence. In Islam, we all believe, it's common sense. If you believe in the God that we know that He is, there are no coincidences. So that means this is not by chance. I was supposed to say some things and you're supposed to hear some things. Okay, this is not by chance. So something else is going on. That's what I'm saying. More than 1 million hours, literally, and I'm telling you a little less because I do not know the span right now. More than 1 million hours of public speaking are done every year. And if it were causing any kind of change, this world would have been a way better place. So most of the public speaking sessions go to waste because they do not invoke 2 things. One, they do not install the right philosophical nodes, and number 2, they don't really try to hit the right psychological nodes. I am going to use our common philosophy so I don't have to do that much work. I'm going to invoke the Sirah all the time, the life of the Prophet ﷺ, and I'm going to try and get you connected to that aura, that power that we all gain from through our Prophet ﷺ. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be connecting to your psychology, through your minds, try and see where your current systems are in your Canberra psychology, and I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, so that you and I can talk, and I can try and place certain concepts within. Then what's going to happen? This session is going to get over with in a couple of hours, maybe less, maybe more. We're going to do a lot of questions, and then something else is going to happen. We're going to give psychology another chance. Okay, how? All of us are going to get connected, inshallah, today. All of us. I'm going to give you enough time to get connected to one group, whatever, WhatsApp or Facebook, whatever, okay? And we're going to get connected again at least once in 3 months, 2 months, once a month, for the follow-throughs of whatever update we're going to do with this program. Whatever your problems are, we're going to give you academic solutions from it, free of charge, don't worry, through online sessions and coming together, so that I can actually ask you for help, not just get you help, because somebody else would need it and you would have something to give to that person. Maybe knowledge, maybe some skill, maybe some advice, I don't know, it could be anything, okay? This is how community works. But we're going to make sure only serious people come into it there, and this is how we're going to connect the rest of the Muslim world. Of course, we're going to do a lot of tangible installations in there. I'm not going to commit to it right now, but I'm going to give you a little detail of what my company is doing so that you can understand how real it has become, okay? And Gaza could not have come in a more critical time. So, let me tell you, and I'm going to ask you, what's the meaning of this? Okay, let me tell you a little story. Tell me what it means to you. Because in current day and age, I am guessing you're not going to get it. Okay? There's this big desert. Imagine that. Imagine this desert in which there's an army, Muslim army, who is looking ahead at the enemy, which is 3 times the number. There are 3,100 Muslim soldiers and about 10,000 enemy, strong, well-built, shining silver armor coming the Muslim way. And this Muslim leader, Nu'man radiallahu anhu, okay, that's his name, he's standing with the flag in his hand, grounded in the sand, and is staring right inside those shining armor of that enemy. All the Muslim soldiers are waiting when Nu'man is going to give the order, and he's just looking. Anyone has heard this? This is a very famous incident. Okay. Tell me what it means. Okay, I'm going to ask you. And I'm going to ask you the most simple question, no trick questions here. Okay, because this is Islam, and this is how far we are from it, and this is why. I'll tell you, all women, you can feel this. This is why none of you guys can guarantee, none of you guys, that whatever you're going to ask for a prayer today or tomorrow is going to come true. If anything, all of us can guarantee that most of our prayers are not going to come true. And that's exactly what we're all actually thinking to our own selves alone on the Janamaz every single day. We have lost the faith in our own prayers. Okay? Let's not sugarcoat anything. We know that we don't pray with an anticipation of a high probability. We all know that. I'll tell you why it happens. Okay? This is why I'm actually trying to wake up everybody. So Nu'man radiallahu anhu is standing, this flag is waving, and everybody's waiting for Nu'man to say, jump in. But nobody can, because this is the rule of Islam, that when the commander, unless the commander gives an order, you cannot do anything. It's way more critical than during a Jama'ah. In the Jama'ah, Imam says Allahu Akbar, everybody says Allahu Akbar. You cannot just say Allahu Akbar before. But this is not as critical as inside the war situation. So Nu'man radiallahu anhu is just standing, he's just staring, dead eyes, inside the ranks. And everyone's quivering as to what's going on. So one Sahabi, he just comes in close to Nu'man, okay, and he dares to say, of course, the question everyone's thinking about. What are you waiting for? ماذا تنتظر? ماذا تنتظر? He hears it 3 times. تنتظر. And then he looks back, and then he looks up, and then he starts staring. And the enemy comes 300 yards inside the range. Okay? I was 12 or 13 when I heard this story, and I asked a simple question to my teacher. He was a Yemeni, and I asked him, because he was narrating, and he was, this dude had this habit of just going into the details. I'm not going into the details, okay? I'm just building up so that everybody gets connected. And I expect you guys to understand and ask that question too. And if you don't worry about it. I'm going to help you. Because I just want to understand how far are we from each other. Literally each other. Right now, right here. So, Nu'man, after the third time this guy asks, Nu'man says, Radiallahu anhu says, La ara riyaha awnillah. And then he starts looking around and says, La ara riyaha awnillah. La ara riyaha awnillah. And everyone in the rank starts running inside the air. You know what that means? He says, I can't see the winds of Allah's help. How can I give you orders? I cannot see them. And everyone's looking at what is Nu'man talking about. All of a sudden, when the army is about very close, about 100 yards they say, Nu'man starts smiling and says, I see the winds of Allah's help. I see them. And everyone starts rejoicing, and the enemy starts panicking as to why these Muslims are rejoicing. So close to attack. And everyone is rejoicing, saying, Allahu Akbar. And people are just trying to embrace that Allah's help has come. So it seems like a fairy tale, doesn't it? You tell it to any faith, fairy tale. Any ethnicity, it's a fairy tale. Or you tell it to your kids in New Zealand right now, in Australia right now, who are 10 or 12, they're going to say it's fairy tale. Even though they're Muslims. Okay? Now tell me something, before I assume that you know what it means. What did Nu'man mean? Radiallahu anhu. What did he see? What did it translate into in the minds of the rest of the Sahaba? What is this? What's going on here? It's a simple question. What's going on here?
So I think it's the Muslims of those days,
they have what?
very strong faith. It's the belief.
See, the word is la ara. Ara means he can literally see, right? It's not about feeling it. It's about seeing it.
It's the faith that we don't have, and the belief that they have.
It's time to plug in this. I want to plug this in. I want to show you the model of the Sahabi psychology. I want to show you that. The makeup of the Sahabi psychology. Okay? It's not faith. Of course it is built up on faith. Built up on faith. But I'm telling you this right now. Inshallah, if tested, you and I will have a lot of faith which can literally be, measured into enough of a substance that we can die for it. I think I can vouch for most of you guys that you want, given a chance, would die with the faith of Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay? I don't have any doubts about this. But so it's not just faith. There's something else that they are actually structured into. I need you to get your hands into that machine so that you can structure yourself into it and your kids. I want to tell you a million more stories about, literal, true stories about what was going on in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. But the way they've been told to us has two problems. Number one, there's a bigger piece of the puzzle missing, which I'll tell you what it is. That's why I'm here. And when they're told to us these kind of stories, the storyteller himself does not believe in those stories. The Muslim does not even believe. Because if you're going to ask him, how did Ali ibn Abi Talib did this? Or Umar Khattab said, no, go from the left, Abu Ubaidah. And Abu Ubaidah is 5,000 kilometers down north in Syria or wherever. And everybody can hear Umar Khattab saying, no, not from the left, go from the right. And Abu Ubaidah says, did you hear Umar Khattab? Everyone says, yeah. It's not just you. Everybody heard Umar Khattab's voice coming from the heavens, literally. Even though he was in Medina at that time. So even the storyteller does not carry the same belief. Because I'll tell you what's missing. I'll show it to you, the whole model, don't worry. There's something I want to tell you before I tell you all of this. So, anybody, Nu'man, La ara, what does that mean? I don't see.
Basically, in my perspective, is it the patience at that time, patience and prayer when he was looking for
Okay, I'll help you. I'll help you because we're not trained into Islam. Big statement, isn't it? We're not trained into Islam. It's like I'm the only guy. Huh? No, that's not how it works. He did see Allah's help coming. It is not a metaphor. I'll show you what he saw later. But just to help your minds right now, he did actually see Allah's help coming down. Yes.
I think his elbow was clear and
What's your name, ma'am? This is the second time you did this to me. What's your name? Rushna. Serotonin alpha. We're not going to talk about this today. Okay?
she's used to it.
Yeah, so Rushna, give me something, use words that everybody else can understand.
Look at, as I said, these guys had a very strong belief in God.
Well, Alexander never claimed that Allah's help is coming.
That the God is not going to abandon them. And just because we can't see,
No, even if there was a false statement from Alexander saying, you know, I see Zeus descending down upon us. No, he never said that. Even if he did say that, that's a motivational lecture. Nu'man radiallahu anhu is not giving motivation to people. Actually, on the contrary, he's stopping. No, Allah is not. La ra ra. Ji, yes, sir. Well, no, not in this case. You came close and you missed it. No.
I think he took leadership for all the Muslim Ummah, and that's why
What's your name?
he
Explain that, please. I can't expect such a straight-on answer. That is the truth. That is what's going on. Marian, how old are you? Yeah, see? We can talk about Islam but not our age. Marian, come on. Yeah, okay, I'll tell you, Marian, not to pick on you. I'm not talking about you. But, you know, women all generally, you're losing your power. You're losing your power every single day. What if I started acting like I'm 18? Won't I be losing my power? If I start acting like I'm 18, I'm hanging out with 18-year-olds, trying to do whatever I can, wear whatever I can do to look 18, would you respect me? Or maybe you would like me as a retard. You would think of me as a special child. Something broke in my brain, ASD sort of thing. But you would not respect me. You'd feel bad for me or take some pity on me. How come the rules are reversed in your minds when you think we are supposed to respect you, but you're trying to look 20 years younger? The rules are not reversed. We also like wise women guiding our kids. You understand me? It's a simple rule. Liberate yourselves. Liberate yourselves. Yes, Mehreen, you're right on the money. But can anyone understand what she just said? Or translate into the meaning of what Sahabas were actually, translating all of this into? Mehreen?
They took accountability for all the Muslims in the sense that they were leading them towards a cause set by Allah, and that made the trust from the Muslims towards the leader, and so the leadership brings a lot of responsibility with it, and they were ready to take
Okay, I'm not going to give you all the benefits of the doubt here. So let me just translate this. All the Muslims meaning?
the Muslims who were the army behind them.
No. See now. No. So you know what I was thinking? You nailed it. Go on. Anybody else? But even if you did, if this is on paper, she's right. Okay, but she's just narrowing the scope of that man and his whole philosophy here. But you're not going to get what my question is still not answered. What did he see? You want me to change the Sahabi, change the dates, change the event? Same help? You want me to do that? Okay, I'll tell you something. When a Muslim comes into his own core, Okay, when a Muslim is come to his own core. It can be measured in numbers, literally in numbers. I'll show you the formula. That's why I came here. And I tried to do that in Pakistan, nobody got it. And when people started getting it, they started understanding that the number is too less, okay, because they know how to calculate the worth of a Muslim. And in Pakistan, the worth of a Muslim cannot be as much as it is here in Australia. See? It is not by chance Allah has brought you here. You can do a lot more here if you only know the math. And for you to know the math, you'll have to attend the first session online for free. Okay? Because I am doing 4 chapters. Second chapter is Sydney tomorrow, inshallah. Third chapter is Melbourne. Melbourne is going to be a bigger chapter. We're going to try and break up into a lot of numbers. And Perth, we're going to open the calculator, inshallah. Okay? But you're going to get the concepts. I'm not going to hold this sort of session in Sydney. Sydney is going to be all PowerPoint presentation, go on, because I got to cover a lot of content. You're my first sample. You're my first draw of Australia. You are going to determine how I'm going to talk to Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth. Plus, I heard that you guys are the elite. I heard it. Sorry. Is it wrong? Snotty? You guys are snotty? You look down upon Sydneyites? No? Okay, rumor? Okay. Okay. So, yeah, I know I heard the other way around. I just want you to say it. Okay, so you are my first draw of Australia. So you need to be a little more expressive. So Noman, radiallahu anhu, he saw the sky breaking down. Okay? He saw the sky breaking down. The whole heavens opening up. One Sahabi narrates, you know what, let's just keep the Sahabis alive for just 1 second. Abu Sufyan, when he was not a Muslim, he saw the same event happening when? In Badr. And you know what, he's the first man to cry. Jibreel has come for that heir of Muhammad. And then the Sahabas looked up and saw all the angels descending down. Okay, so it's not just the faith. It's not just the faith that you can see things. When Muslims are going to be in their own, which is their whole substance, their element, your element, the whole world's going to see. That's the problem. We're not primed to believe. I'm telling you, half of your brain does not even believe me right now, right here. Half of your brain. And the rest of the half is trying to convince the half of the brain that, yeah, you know what? It could be right. Because it is written. That's how big the problem is. You know why it started? I'll tell you when it started. In your case, okay? And where's the camera? Not for Scandinavia, not for Canada or America. For Australia especially, it started 20 years ago, 30 years ago, no less, no more. With somebody who tried to come out of Pakistan or India or wherever you're from to Australia. So let me ask you a question. Anybody who's more than 20 but less than 30? Anybody? Under 30? You guys are seriously into this age thing, aren't you? Okay, anybody who's of any age. Yes, sir. Boy. Yes, boy. Yes, yes. Little. What's your name? Rayan. Okay. Rayan, how old are you? 6. That's quite a leap, buddy. 12. You're 12? You're 12 years old. You are 12 years old. Are you sure? Who said 6? Nobody said 6. Okay. So 12 years. Rayan, you're born here? Are you born here? Were you born here? No, you're not born here. Okay. Okay. So who brought you here, Rayan? I need the name of that guy, Rayan. Who brought you here? Your dad? Where is he? Yeah, okay. What's his name? No, keep them. Aslam, okay. Rayan Aslam. And I'm going to ask you, ask your father a question, and I need you to answer it, okay? See, Aslam Saab? Why did you come to Canberra? Rayan.
Because the schools are better.
That's right. Really?
Yes.
Where did you come from? Kathmandu? The schools are better here, and that's why we brought you. So you go to what? Which school do you go to?
Forest Primary School.
So primary education is better here.
Yes.
Okay. Good job, Aslam Saab. Good job. Yeah, you convinced a 12-year-old. Okay. Now you know what I'm asking about, right? You know what I'm talking about. Anybody who's not going to school, please raise your hand, so that you won't pull that excuse on me. No, not going to school. Old enough people who have a career. Okay, let me just teach you a little bit of psychology, just a little bit. Okay, it's juicy. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Okay, academic stuff, but you're gonna love it. Actually, you would want to be in psychology after this. You know what a solute and a solvent is? Heard this word? Anybody from you guys explain what a solute is and a solvent? From the back. Rayan, did you learn this in chemistry in your school by now? Solvent and solutes? No. Okay, it's all right. It's all right. Anybody? Come on. Canberra? Yes.
When we make a solution and that is solute is actually just look like a salt is solute, and in case when we dissolve it into a water, the water is solvent. It means that we know that is solvent. That salt in any salty solution, solute is actually salt and water is actually just water.
So what the solute is, so in any solution, the element which is going to be dependent on the, which is going to be lesser in quantity, which will be dependent on the climate set by the independent element, is the solute. Okay, I get it. We all know that, right? Sabko pata tha? We all knew that, right? Solute solvent. If you didn't know that, then I'll change the angle. Don't worry. I'm going to change the angle. No? Everybody knew this? Okay. That's how human minds work, okay? God has made us through chemicals. These chemicals make combinations, okay? And my chemicals are making combinations with your chemicals right now. Right now, right here. My brain chemicals are making combination with your brain chemicals. Okay? This is not like metaphysical mythology. No, this is basic chemistry. That's why you can feel bored, excited, motivated, repulsed, okay? Or you know, you can actually feel excited. That's all chemistry, okay? So serotonin goes high, dopamine goes high, and a little bit of adrenaline goes high, you feel excited, okay? You add a little bit of vasopressin in there, you feel motivated. Same cocktail, okay? You feel a little more, you know, cortisol in there, you feel as if you're going to conquer the world, okay? That's how chemistry works. Just like that, why I'm asking about solvent and solute is because Rayan was brought into Canberra. You were also brought into Canberra. Nobody came here on his own. That's job one that we're about to solve. Okay? We're going to solve this problem as job one, so that you can become independent now. Because if somebody brought you here, you were dependent. Rayan is dependent on Aslam, yeah. So Aslam brought Rayan. Rayan had nothing to do with it. So Rayan is naturally going to reap the benefits, inshallah. Or if anything bad happens, it's on Aslam. It's not on Rayan. We all know that. Yeah? Till, of course, Rayan becomes an adult. And when he's an adult, then he's on his own. Aslam Sahib, you all know that, right? So you made a conscious choice to bring Rayan and his mother and other of his siblings. How many? One. So 2 siblings, 2. So you are 4 people? Yeah. So when did you come to Canberra? I mean Australia, not just 20. Oh, you just recently came in. 2 years. 2 years. From where? Okay. From where to Abu Dhabi? Okay. So you know where I'm coming from, right? Try and get the drift. You're Indian or Pakistani? Yeah, okay. So, Aslam, stay with me, man. Stay with me. So, Aslam, how old are you? What's going on, guys? Yeah, seriously. This is the first time I'm going through this. And this is not even Pakistan. This is like everybody has a driver's license. Everybody knows how many years you put in. Do you have an Asian driver's license here? Or a health card, right? So where were we? Aslam. So, somebody convinced you into moving. Who was that? Your wife. No, you seriously. Your wife, really? Okay. That's the first. Where is she? She's here? Oh, you're here. The Queen has entered the building. Your Highness. Ma'am, what's your name? Noshawa. Noshawa? You call the shots on many things. Rayan, his sister, Aslam Saab. You call the shots on yourself as well? Who convinced you to move to Australia? Because you convinced everybody else. Nah. Nobody convinced you. Thank God. Somebody said it, right? So that's what I wanted to hear. That, no, sir, what are you talking about? Nobody forced me to come to Australia. You know, you should have the simple sense of understanding, simple sense, that you didn't think about Australia on your own, even though you knew Australia as a country when you were, what, 4, 5, 6 in geography class. You didn't think about going to Australia until, of course, something happened. Okay, and that's not just one thing. So many things coming together to form this little thought process. I'll tell you a little test of that thought process. You put an American, an Australian, and a Pakistani, or an Indian, in a room for 7 months. Okay, 7 months. What's your name, ma'am? Madiha. Men. Okay, so you don't have to be a party to this. You can give a straight answer, right? There are 4 men. A Pakistani, Indian, American, and an Australian. In a room for 7 months. Listen to the question. That's how chemistry works, okay? And 7 months later, what is the accent of the room? Yeah, didn't think about it. Think about it. It's a simple test of psychology. Don't jump to conclusions. Think. You put an Indian, Pakistani, but same thing, don't worry. A little harder cheese on India. Who's Indians? Where are the Indians? It's all right. Good job. Good job. Kala match, aaja match. Good job. Good job. Australian and American. I know. I didn't give you that appendage. I didn't say it. I want your brain to do that thinking. Madhya, come on. You can't cheat on this one. Just give a wrong answer. Doesn't matter. American. Why?
Because we are influenced.
Who else has an answer? 7 months. Okay, give me a year. Okay, 7 months is not the trick here. Okay. Yeah, I just. Why do you have to? Just raise your hand. Yeah. There you go. Madhya, it has nothing to do with nationality. I tricked the question in. What your brain is going to listen to is going to become. That's how it is. Okay, that's why I said India or Pakistan, doesn't matter. It's just a harder T. I was trying to give you hints all over the place. So, Noshaba, somebody painted a picture in so many times in front of you that all of a sudden you were willing to put your marriage on the stake to move from Abu Dhabi to Canberra. Okay? And it could have been a battle. I'm not saying it was. It could have been a very cruise control negotiation, and all of a sudden someone's like, hey, you know what? You said it, you got it. Happy anniversary, Australian immigration. I don't know, could be. Or it could be, nahi jana. Yeah, calling each other's mothers, Ammi, aap karen, aap baat karen, aap. It could be anything. I don't know how the whole spiral went down. Was it easy or hard? Shaba? Easy? It was a long decision or a short decision? Long decision. Okay, so you negotiated. You negotiated. Okay. So I'll tell you what happened, okay? This is a problem that you all have to solve. I'm going through a lot of slides. When I'm going to open the slideshow, most of the slides will be covered, don't worry. And I'm going to give you that slideshow, okay? Make sure, Ali, I need everybody connected together in the group because I'm going to be sharing so much stuff with you, and we'll be talking live, inshallah, a lot about real things, about next 2, 3, 4 steps that I need you to take, okay? Nashaba, bear with me. Do you know your husband? Really? Yeah. It's a good thing that you thought about this. No, yeah. It's a good thing, yeah. Because you didn't just, it wasn't an emotional answer, she thought about it. She was like, hold on. Yeah, I know him really. Yeah, because there's so much that we do in front of our wives that is called acting, posing. So it takes a little while before the woman starts to see through us. Like, I'm not going to tell you that I know you now, but I know you. Okay, so you know him. How long did it take? How many kids did it take? Now, you're going to know a totally different guy. That's the point I'm trying to make. As soon as this kind of transit happens, men, especially, you know what I'm talking about, because I do not know about the Canberra girls, especially the immigrants, but I know the Pakistani men, the Indian men. As soon as you're going to go through this sort of transition, the bigger solvent is Australia now. And you are the salute. Your philosophy becomes a salute. You know what that philosophy is called? Islam. That's the problem I'm trying to solve for our kids. All of a sudden, Islam becomes a salute. And it's okay, Islam has enough power. But you know what happens when Islam becomes salute? When Islam as a philosophy becomes a salute, what are we supposed to do? Change the solvent. Okay. No, think about it. When was the last time it happened? Come on, think common. मैंने rocket science सवाल नहीं पूछने आपसे. No, absolutely not. What was the most famous of this event? Very close. Who said that? Marine. If I had golden stars, I would have given you that. Yeah. No, it happened when Allah Azza wa Jal told Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that this is the job. First time, pehli bhai. First time. All of a sudden, he's a salute, the world is a solvent. Islam, in its true essence, is a salute. And you know what he did? He turned it into a solvent. Okay? That's literally the same process Prophet ﷺ is keep on telling us. Now you're going to see the hadith about immigration, you're going to find out. Now I'm going to look into the camera. And then I'm going to tell you. And I'm not saying this is exactly what's upon you, so don't take any credit out of it, even though you should understand the academic value is literally upon you, okay? I am narrating you, based on, of course, good intents though, that the highest of all rewards is for the martyr who died, gives his life, the biggest shahada. The shahada means testimony. That's the literal meaning of shahada in Arabic. I testify, I am so sure of it, then I'm literally willing to bet my life on it. And here's my life. Oh, Allah Azza wa Jal. That you are haqq and your Prophet is the last haqq, and this book is the last haqq. And I'm going to give my life on it. Here you go. And he does. That's called the shahada, the shaheed. The shahada means testimony, right? After that is hijrah. That's how high hijrah is. You know what hijrah is, right? Migration. The word is in immigration. When you actually migrated, it's technically speaking, I'm not saying it's upon, you qualify. I hope you do. What I'm saying is, immigration is the highest reward in Islam. Highest! Of course, top in the ranks. You know what I'm saying? Because there are little 2 or 3 things higher than this. Only 2 or 3 things. Why? Someone who's not spoken to me yet, especially a girl who's in her 20s. Why is hijrah such a big reward in Islam? Any girl, except the ones who I've spoken to. Think. See, I'm giving you simple questions through Islam. Pertinent to you. You are all immigrants here. Yes, ma'am, what's your name? How old are you, better? 14. Best age to know about this concept. Fatima, putter, say it. Yeah, I know, but do what for the sake of Allah? Doing anything for the sake of Allah is awesome. Migration, why is this such a big reward? No, you can do that. You can do that without migrating. Think. I'm telling you, there's a problem. There are 7 slides in my deck which are narrating the existential crisis of Muslim because of Muslim clerics. Because they're not narrating the weight and the right angle to look at this hadith, this ayah. All of the collection of the hadith and ayah. And I'm just trying to give you the prism. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to give you names of, this cleric, that cleric. No. Keep listening to your clerics. Don't worry. There's a lot of benefit that you're going to get out of it. But you need to understand where is the problem. Ji Fatima. Where was she? Yes.
Because of the sacrifice you do it for?
Yeah, give me that sacrifice. What is that sacrifice?
Moving away.
What is that sacrifice? Moving away from?
Your family.
Which means what?
Migrating.
No, moving from home. Home meaning what?
Your family,
The people meaning what? The Muslim, the people, your people. What were they giving you which is no more available? That's somebody should write this down. This is gold mine. Okay, this is a gold mine. She's spilling gold here. Support, comfort. What else? Love.
encouragement.
Okay, what else?
Identity.
How old are you? Who's helping you? Support, huh? Love. This is not love, this is cheating. Fatima, let me explain to you how it works. Everybody should know that. The deed of hijrah is so big, that there was a competition between the Habsha immigrants and the Medina immigrants. Medina immigrants and the Habsha immigrants. Okay? Let's not go into that detail, but we all know that the biggest of all rewards is for the immigrants. Okay, why? Because they get what? They get the prophetic mission directly. That's how simple it is. Now, you're not a prophet, but you're going to live a life of a prophet. The troubles of a prophet. The struggles of a prophet. The mission of a prophet. Literally the problems of a prophet. But you're not a prophet. Because the prophets are no more. That's the last prophet ﷺ. That's it. No more prophets. And now what? Now you got to live the life of literally a prophet. How? Everyone's a solvent, I'm the only salute. All the problems. Identity crisis, yes. Let me just show you now, because this is not going to be enough for me to just keep talking about this. You need to see the whole funnels. Identity crisis, psychological and emotional both. Existential crisis comes under psychology. What does that mean? What does that actually mean? You know what it means? No, you can teach the world what it means, because Assam, when you went to the first job interview here, that was the day that many times you replayed that movie in Abu Dhabi with Nushabas, like, what the hell was I thinking? And the worst thing was not about the interview. The worst thing was when you got the interview, the next day you walked in like a new animal in the zoo. Everybody was looking at you. Nobody cared, but you thought everybody had a certain statement to give. Even nobody cared. But you made up all of those statements in their eyes. That's what they're thinking. Should I dress up like this? Should I talk like this? Should I walk like that? I mean, a million ways to misinterpret. Put words into your own figments of imagination, which people didn't even think about, and now you're gushing in that canvas of paint that you've actually thrown in your own mind about people. Most of the times, that is what people are thinking. That's how you actually put all of that paint together. I'm just saying, maybe in your case they weren't, but you did put something together. That pressure, that expectation of not being white, not having that accent, not having that grammar. Accent is stage 2, grammar is stage 1. You know, I don't know you, Aslam, but I know men, I swear, I know men in Canada. I know men in America. Grown men. For the first 2-3 years, they used to find spots so that nobody can look at them and they should cry. I've spoken, because I was a little boy. I was 2.5 when I went to America. I was little young. My father was exiled. There's this call center in Young and Bloor in Toronto. And I was managing this customer care department, and there's this call center that comes under customer care. It's a regular weekday. Understand, I'll tell you why I somehow cannot say the statement so well, because every time I think about this guy, it just breaks me down. Men do not tell you, because that's not their job to tell you, because they don't want to show you how weak things make them, because their job is to protect you. Your husbands I'm talking about, your fathers I'm talking about, your brothers. They're never going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this right now, because I know this is real. This is not, Einstein's equations. I went downstairs, and there was an overlap shift called, a big shift comes in, and the shift is still on the floor. So we have to control the incoming shift, and make sure the occupancy remains intact. It's just a standard call center operation. It's a 14-floor building, okay? And there's this guy who I'm actually eyeing out because he's still in training. First day he got that work permit. It's called the SIN number in Canada. So he just got he's legal to work. And he's got this little twinkle in his eye that, I'm legally eligible to work. And I know how happy he's an old man. He's not 20. He's maybe he's 50, maybe he's a little close to 50. But he seems as if he's 60 or 70, because he's seen that struggle. But he's not 60 or 50. Don't think about it like this. And one of these doors open into the parking, and he's smoking outside, okay? And he's not supposed to, because there's a law in Canada, you cannot smoke under a cover. And not just a cover, even an umbrella, a gazebo. You can't even smoke under a gazebo. You have a gazebo here? That's what you call them here? Yeah. So somebody else's gazebo, it's on $1,000, right on the spot. So this guy smokes, because he's too new, he doesn't understand the rules. And I just look at him, he's an Indian, by the way. And I go to him, and he's pacing. And I'm just going to give you the little, end of the story. Because we all know that. All of us know that. And I go to him and I said, what's going on? And he, in his broken accent and grammar, tries to impress me because he thinks his job depends on it. So I grab him with his shoulders and I was like, क्या हुआ है? मुझे असली बात बताएं, हुआ क्या? Because he said, कुछ नहीं हुआ. And, he's just trying to pose so that he wouldn't lose his job. So I was like, let's sit down. You want to smoke, you smoke, but don't smoke here. Because you're going to get in police trouble, not job trouble either. But something else is bothering you. Because I know I have his report for the last couple of weeks. And his name is Ishfaq. Okay, Ishfaq. And I said, Ishfaq sir, how bad do you need this job? He said, it's his first job in Canada, so everybody thinks his first job is the last job. That's how we think, because, we made it. But मैं बहुत छोटी करके सुना रहा हूँ. I'm going to cut to the chase. I have never seen a man cry the way he cried, trying to control but can't control, because all he's doing is doing numbers on the number of dollars per hour, multiply by number of hours, multiply by working days, divided by the first 2 or 3 expenses that his wife and kids are naturally going to incur. And he's done this math. And he's trying to calculate how many hours is he going to put overtime in his head. And he's got to divide all of that by 100. At that time, the dollar was 84. Okay? And he's done that. Multiply that by 84 so that he can send his mother that money. And all of that, the math. You don't know the math if you're old enough. But if you're too recent, you know the math. Okay? If your family back home, you know the math. I'm going to open the math in front of you, don't worry. Okay? Not here, but I'm going to send you that math. Because that's one of the ways, one of the funnels of how to calculate what's your contribution towards the bigger. That's what makes you Numan, a percentage of Numan. Radiallahu anhu. That does make you. Allah in the Quran says, وَأَعِدُّ لَهُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. That every dollar that you're going to actually contribute is going to construct that building. And that building is going to enforce anyone, any inhabitant of that building to see Aunillah, the help of Allah, for all Muslims in Gaza and Pakistan and India and everywhere. So I speak to this guy and I'm like, why are you in Canada, man? That's the bigger question. Not about what kind of job do you have or not. What are you doing here? ये आपका काम ही नहीं है. And I'm that guy, I'm that guy. I'm sorry. Sometimes it doesn't really, I'm not a good person because I'm that personality type which actually just jumps into the conclusion of trying to help that guy and just cut to the chase and say, you know what, mera khayal hai, you should go back. And if you want me to help, I'll help you. I'll buy a ticket. I'll talk to your wife and your mother, whoever is responsible. But if you're going to stay in Canada, you are going to cause more damage to your personality. You're going to go into depression, or bachon ke saath, you're going to do wo zulm, which they're going to curse you for, and you're going to actually create polluted mutants who are going to hate their father and they're going to make sure they hate Islam because you are a Muslim. You are not capable to raise Muslims because you're worried about things which are something you cannot even handle. You're doing math more than your brain can handle. And you are not fit for this job anyway. This is an English communication job, and you just don't have it. I mean, I piled up as much as I could so that I can convince him. I'm just telling you this right now. I know when a solute comes into a solvent, all of the identity of the solvent is absorbed by the solute. And in the first draft, that's not Muslim, non-Muslim, Christian, Australian. No, that's just human. That's how human mind works. And as much as we think girls are more vulnerable or naive, that works way more for men than for women. We want way more of that identity of the solvent than they want of the bigger solvent. They do not want to be the white woman. Test it, and I have tested it. Everybody has, not just me. It's an academic review I'm giving you. Most Desi women don't want to be white women. But all of the Desi men want to be white men.
Yes.
That's the problem. And that's why you keep staring at those goatees. So what the hell is he looking at? Because you don't want to be that. I know who you want to be. So I'm not giving you a free pass here. What I'm saying is, you're going to catch an Australian accent 10 years later than your counterpart man. That's how slow you want it. And we have an excuse that, you know what, if you didn't get that English or that slang or we're not woke enough, we're not going to get in. And if you're not going to get in, we're not going to stay. And I'm doing this for you, woman. The bills, the grocery, and your whatever clothes that you want to buy. I'm doing this for you. Doing what for me? I'm going away from you for you. I'm becoming a solvent for you. I'm not going to be able to relate to you for you. That's what we're going to do. And that's okay. You're old enough to handle yourself. That's not okay for Rayan. Aslam, Rayan is half lost. I guarantee you this right now. Nushaba, that debate in Abu Dhabi did not help Rayan. It can. You can channel it. But that's the job. That is the job. Because so many Rayans are losing their track. And so many Fatmas are actually asking the right questions from their fathers and mothers. And you know what the reply they're going to get? बच्चा तबाह हो गया, बच्चा हाथ से निकल गया, यहाँ आना बहुत बड़ी गलती थी. Even though 99% of the questions are 100% correct. We should have asked our parents that question or those questions about Islam, philosophy, the reasoning of it all. But since we're not trained into it, Islam, we all know what you're going to do to Rayan when he's going to ask you those blunt, blatant questions, and especially Nushaba, because you guys, girls, are emotional. You're going to shun it out of the system. And he's not going to get shunned out. You know who is going to answer Rayan's question? Peter Douglas, next door. Yeah. They're not going to be the right answers, but they'll be such a good-looking answer, and he's not of the age to reason himself out of right or wrong. At least somebody's giving him the answer. And trust me, even big scholars of Islam can't reason out of a lot of answers which are wrong, but given on YouTube. Big scholars, I'll repeat this. A lot of big scholars of Islam cannot reason themselves against the wrong answers on YouTube against Islam. So you think 8-year-old, 10-year-old kids are going to do that? They're never going to do that. You want to give you 20 top examples of wrong answers given by Muslim scholars on YouTube, which any child can refute, but they're not gonna because they don't know the Seerah or the Quran or the literature. That's how identity is gonna get shattered. You know, till the 1980s, number one religion immigrating to atheism was Hinduism. Did you know that? Read the stats. Till the 1980s, most of the atheists were Hindus before atheism. But something happened in the 80s and 90s. You know what that is? YouTube, technology, internet. And now do the math. And I don't want to do the math on, religions and cultures and whatever. I want to do the math on age. At what age are human beings calling themselves atheists? And you know what that is today? 12. 12-year-old. 12-year-old kids are calling themselves atheists. They can't even call themselves girls or boys properly. And they think they're atheists. I don't know about Australia, but its 8-year-old child can call himself a girl. You catch the pronoun, right? In Canada, he is legally allowed to call himself a girl. And okay, I get this gender identity crisis. Okay, big problem. You think that's as big of a problem as my own child becoming an atheist and becoming an activist? You know who's the most activist now? 3 generations of immigrants in Scandinavia, Muslims. Which is the most active generation? Scandinavian Muslims, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Arab. The first generation that migrated to Scandinavia couldn't even speak Danish or Swedish or Finnish. Second generation were born there. Third generation started moving into politics now. Who is the sitting senator of Australian embassy, parliament here in this room? Is there any senator here? Any senator? Nobody's a senator here? Nobody's a member of parliament here in this room? I know it's such a redundantly dumb question, isn't it? Because there's not even a chance. Your kids, Aslam Rayan, can he go to the parliament? Yeah, because he's right in the age. Of course, if he does. But probability is less. But his kid, Aslam, his kid, there's way more probability of him, more. I'm not saying equal. More probability of Rayan's child being in the parliament than Frank Rutherford in Sydney. Any Tom, any Joe. Because he's got a motive and he's got a regime. Those people will not have that regime. You got a regime going on. I'll tell you that some other day. That's what happened to Scandinavia. It's a common example. Now, England has a brown prime minister. Prime minister, not a senator. His last generation were senators and members of parliaments. 4 generations ago, they couldn't even think about it. So the speed is, you were moving with triple the speed. I'll tell you some other day, inshallah, what is the cause of that speed. But right now is just understand the speed. So Rayan, yes, hopefully he can make it to the parliament in Australia. By the time he's 25, 26, maybe 30. Okay? If he's of age, he can understand. What does he require? He requires 2 things. That's exactly what he's getting right now. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Rayan, you know what he's getting right now? Aslam, what is Rayan getting right now? He's going to make him able to be in the parliament. Yeah, number 1. He's got to be more Australian than any other Australian who is already an Australian, more than the Aboriginal Australian. He's got to be way more Australian. What does he got to prove? What's your name, ma'am? Yeah, anybody, one of you. Yeah? Fayal. What is Rayan? What does he have to prove to be an Australian to any other Australian?
I guess self-respect or respect.
Really? Self-respect. That's the first thing that'll lose.
That's what I thought of.
Okay. Ji, anybody? Ek bande ko, yeah. There you go. What's your name? Yeah, you got to know how quick you can divorce your current identity. Because you cannot have 2 different identities. You can have a brown skin and still be Australian, but you got to be totally Australian. Arnold Schwarzenegger cannot be the president of USA, but he can be the governor of California. You know what I'm saying? Adnan Khwaja can be an amazing, what's his name, a cricketer in Australia. Yeah? He's as Australian as it gets. But Rayan, for a member of parliament, you got to be twice the Australian. Twice means 1 fully Australian, which is Frank or Samantha or wherever, and the other Australian is the lack of Pakistan in you or India in you. Where is the proof of that? That is something which you have to, and that's what this English Prime Minister is trying to prove every single day in front of you. He could have easily taken the fairness route. You know what he took? He took the English route. What's his name? Rishi. Rishi became a lot more, Richard than any Richard would ever walk the streets of England. No Richard has been so Richard than Rishi. Because Rishi was twice Richard. He had to be twice the Richard, any Richard. Richard the King, he couldn't even dream of becoming so Richard. He became so Richard that he went on Twitter and he misspelled Israel to promote Israel. He did it in such a jiffy. And he put the Palestinian pictures by mistake on Twitter, thinking they were Israeli kids, calling it an abomination. And then he had to take him down because somebody told him, oh dude, these look like brown kids. Just because you're Rishi or you're Richard, not everybody has become Richard, man. Just take these brown kids off, put some Jewish kids up there. But there's no picture of any Jewish kids. So where are you going to find any kids which are going to prove that lie that they're actually putting on Muslims? Anyway, you get that? Aslam. So, is it a fault? No, it's not a fault. It's a demand of Muslims as well. You want a member of our parliament, you got to be twice the Muslim if your name is Shankar. If your name is Shankar, you got to prove that you're not Shankar, man. Well, it's not their fault. It's common sense. Shukla Sahab, kalma padhoge to andar masjid mein आओगे ना? Any Shukla, यहाँ पे भी होते ना? Shukla Sahab. So when your neighbor, your Indian, your friend, you cannot be like, Shukla Sahab, लाएं बेगम ने खाने में क्या बनाया खा लो. No, you'll be like, oh, hold on, Shukla Sahab, we can't just put anything of your house in our mouth because you have to be twice Rashid Sahab. Twice the Rashid Sahab for me to eat from your house. So it is not, oh my God, these Aussies are so racist. No, nobody's a racist. It's their survival. They need to survive really well, and it's called harmony principle in psychology. You need to be under the same tutelage of philosophy in our values. That's what I'm saying. Let's just take a little 10-minute breather because I've put too much together. And I wish I can actually solvent salute, everybody understands? So an Australian going into America, it has to become an American. I'm sorry. If he has to, survive into a career and develop a family, grow, and get into the game, which you and I, as men, we need not just to get into the game, we need to win it. Because if you're not going to win it, we are going to have twice the depression because we took a lot of decision coming to a totally different country, especially as close to the end of the planet as it can be. Because 100 miles down and there is no more planet Earth. So you came right on the edge of the planet to prove some worth that you already have in your own mind. Inshallah you will. But who are you trying to prove? That's the real question. If you're trying to prove it to yourself, okay, we'll work on it. If you try to prove it to your next door Aussie, then we have a different problem your child is going to inherit. Okay? Now, what is the identity that you're losing? That's the bigger question. That's where I cannot help you by just talking about this. I need to open up a lot of slides in front of you so that you can understand what are we giving up, what is going to happen, and how no Muslim right now can understand the solvent psychology, because we as Muslims are not solvents anymore. Even in Pakistan, India, even in Makkah and Medina, we're not solvents. Muhammad bin Salman, not a solvent. That's the problem, and that's exactly where this session is going to get a little deeper, a little more technical. And that's why as fathers and mothers, you better understand how important this tour is. That's where the real shake is. And I don't want to just shake you to break you. I want to shake you to remake you. So, let me ask you a question. Who knows about any, I'm not going to name names. Give me your names of favorite scholars that you listen to. Come on. Tariq Jamil, okay. Tariq Jamil, okay. One, okay. Love that guy. I absolutely love him. Everybody loves that guy. I don't think anyone in the world hates that guy. Okay. Who else? Yes, sir. Okay. People who are alive right now. Numan Ali Khan. Okay. I want to get back to Olaki. I'll get back to Olaki because he is going to. You're going to have an answer which I'm going to ask everybody else. Nobody else is going to have that answer. Okay. Okay. So, if you know the answer, just raise your hand because I don't know if you actually did listen to all of whatever he has to say. So, Numan Ali Khan. Who else? Menk. Okay, Menk. Awesome. What's he saying? Ayman. Akhi Ayman. Okay, yeah. Hamza Yusuf. Okay. Big names. You got big names. Okay. Anybody else? Nobody listens to anybody from Canada. It's just all America. See, America is everywhere. Yasir Qadhi. Okay, Yasir Qadhi. Yeah, Yasir Qadhi. I know him, Yasir Qadhi. That's the first man who I know who have listened to. Okay, other than Dr. Sardo. Sheikh Imran. Yes. Oh, another guy I've. No, I heard you the first time. Go on. Yeah, third time. I heard you the first time. You don't have to say it 3 times. Okay, all of these clerics combined, except for you, sir, okay? Don't raise your hand. All of these clerics combined. What did they tell you? And if you know, only then you raise your hand. If they didn't tell you, because I know they didn't tell you, but if they told you, raise your hand. What is the purpose of Islam? If this, no, not that. No. See, that's exactly why I didn't. This is the difference. That's why these people are gems. This is jewelry. You don't have Bayan al-Quran, you have jewelry in your house. That's how precious it is. To do good deeds, like Dalai Lama. To do good deeds. I'm a good human being. I'm telling you what they told you. I'm not picking on anybody, okay? You need to understand that. I'm trying to tell you there's a problem. And they're amazing people, and you need to listen to them because they're giving you some good, and I'll tell you what that some good is. It's necessary. Take it. But there's a problem they're not going to be able to fix. You are going to fix that problem after today. Anybody else? Anyone? And yes, sir.
I think the way I see it, these guys tell you to offer praise and do all that.
Yeah.
What they forget to tell you
is
Islam is not about reading Quran and all that. It's a way of life. And you have to live it. And the other problem that I see is with Islam now, we are all into sabah. We want to read the Arabic Quran, but we do not want to read the translation what God is actually trying to say. And this is the problem with the mullah in Pakistan and India, that they don't want you to read what God is trying to say in the translated language, in Urdu or English, whatever that language is. What exactly God is trying to say is the way of life that you want to live. It's not all about namaz and all that. It's how you want to live your life based on Quran with the help of God.
I think, what's your name, sir? What's your name? Amir Saab. Amir Saab, they actually are some of them, not all of them, are very eloquent in describing the way of life. They are. They're missing out on something else. I'll tell you, and I'll tell you why they're missing it out, okay? And I'll tell you why some of them, which you named, a few people, they didn't miss out. Because there's something that happened. And you're old enough to understand that, and you're going to fix that problem for Rayans, okay? For yourselves and for your Noshabas. For your Aslams, for your Noshabas, and for your Rayans. You need to fix it. I'll tell you what that is. Okay? नहीं ये मसला है मसला है, okay.
It's not the same.
It's okay. नहीं, it's the same की मसला नहीं, font का मसला है. Okay. There's let me just give you a little story, a little history, and then I'm just going to quickly run right into the point, okay? From the 1500s to the 1800s, Europeans produced philosophers and philosophers and philosophers. Muslims produced zero philosophers in these 400 years. Okay, Muslims produced a lot of philosophers before that. Okay, Ghazali is an amazing, Ibn al-Qayyim, Ibn Arabi, philosophers. All of these are philosophers. But in these 16 and 1700, the age of philosophy came into the planet. From Hume to Descartes to Kant to John Locke to Dostoevsky, and you name it, you look anywhere, you're going to be, find a good, very avid, well-read thinker who can actually understand the problems of human beings and giving you solutions. I'm not just talking about Marx and, I'm just talking about the general flavor of the planet changing to philosophy and ideology and solutions to the planet. But Muslims are not doing that. Why? Think about it, just give me an answer. Why? It's a boring topic. I'm going to finish it right after this answer. Why did Muslims never produce a philosopher who's going to solve the bigger problems? I'll tell you, the general answer that everybody gives is, Muslims were pushed out of philosophy, and it's a haram sort of thing, it's mutashabihat sort of play, and a lot of voodoo work goes into it. Everyone's going to come up with it. Yes, sir.
The way we approach Islam, I think it's maybe because of this religion. That's why we weren't able to produce any philosophers. We just take Islam as a simple religion.
No, we don't. That's exactly the. I'll tell you why. No. Yes, sir. Who's they? Muslims were loving into the love of the world. No, even they were they love the world way more than Muslims, bro. And that's why they come up with the solutions to the problem. If you don't love the world, you're not going to solve the problem of the world. Okay, let's not drag this, because this is not the point here. Muslims did not produce philosophers because Muslims had something else, which philosophy was their European philosophy was trying to find. Okay? Muslims already had that. If you're not thirsty, you're not going to look for a glass of water. Okay? You need to understand that. And now Muslims are not carrying their glass of water anymore. So Muslims need the philosophers. That's why I'm looking at Rayan so carefully. I need Muslims to become thinkers all of a sudden. All of a sudden I need them to go into the bigger problems and bigger solutions of the planet. Because we don't have that one thing anymore. At the peak of European philosophy, Muslims were enjoying a good nap because they had the luxury to do that. They shouldn't have, but they had the luxury to do that. That's why Muslims never produced, let alone a good philosopher. We didn't even start the game. We never entered the ring. Okay? Because two things happened to Muslims. Number one, ever since the Prophet ﷺ, we never lost one thing, which is the system of Islam. Okay? As long as if you were a Muslim, you were under a certain umbrella, and that umbrella is going to try and solve their problems for you. And that umbrella is the system of Islam. Till 1924, Muslims, no matter what kind of plight that system was in, no matter what kind of crooks were running their system, but there was a system. And Europeans never had that system. At least not for, whatever nation that they used to call themselves at that time. The church, whatever they were doing, they came up with this philosophy of outsourcing all of their politics, their identity as a community, which is called politics, to bring everybody together, to the local governors, to the Caesar, and take religion back to the church. And the church has nothing to do with whatever politics or whatever Caesar has to do, or whatever prime ministers and presidents have to do about the affairs. So Christians didn't just divorce the church. Christians actually took to war against it, because church was still calling the shots on so many of their social setups. And the Great War happened, and Christians went to war against the church. Christians went to war using their philosophers, 30 years war, the biggest catastrophe ever in the history of mankind because of the number of deaths that happened in millions and millions and millions. Read about this. 30 years, Europeans killed each other just to annihilate the church. Okay? Now, Muslims did not have that problem. That's why we never went into that game. Muslims already had that philosophy. This is what I'm trying to tell you. In this ayah, Allah Ta'ala is saying, إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ. Allah is talking about Himself, that when we presented this whole purpose, when we said this is the ball game, to every single thing that we created, Allah is saying, I presented it to all of you. No, we are just one of them. Insan is one. Everything else that Allah has created. إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَ أَن يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَا مِنْهَا وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانِ. Every one of them said, no, this is too much of a responsibility. Make sure you understand what Numan is going through, radiallahu anhu is going through. Make sure you understand what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is going through on the trip to Taif. Alone, single salute, all solvent. Okay, think about it. And now think about this. Think about when Aslam is sitting in that flight of Emirates or Etihad, I'm pretty sure they're both sitting in, coming to Perth or Melbourne or wherever they landed. Think about it. إِنَّا أَرَدْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَا أَن يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَا مِنْهَا. Nobody said, I'm not going to bear. Hamil means, pregnancy. Everyone said, everything said, we're not going to carry this load. Sorry. We are not able to do that. And insan, the human being, comes up to Allah Azza wa Jalla and says, oh, well, I'm going to carry this. Give me this burden of taking care of everything. Everything. Every human being. What Marine said, you know what Marine said? And I said she was giving the right answer. Numan was showing responsibility of everybody. Not just everybody in the army, everybody in the world. Literally everybody in the world. Literally, Rayan, every Australian in Australia. Not just every Pakistani in Australia, every Australian in Australia. This is what the job is. Yeah, that's the start of the job, because Australia is not it. That's what we took yesterday. Yeah, Allah says, إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا. إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا means, Allah is saying, most of you guys didn't even know what you're saying. Do you know what this means? This means all of us were there. What's your name, ma'am? Rabia. Rabia, you and me were there. You know how I said you and me? You and me were there together, Rabia. At the same time. No, you saw me and I saw you. Listen to what I'm saying here. What's your name, sir? Zan was there, I was there, Zan saw me, I saw him. We all looked at Allah Azza wa Jalla and said, I wanna do this. وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانِ. We were together at that time. I'll tell you why I said you and I are together. Rabbi, you and I were together. Okay, whoever you're going to meet, whoever you're going to interact with, whoever you are going to connect with, no matter what level, becomes a man of your own age, your own time, and people of the same time were all coming together in clusters. And all of us of all time were all spent in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal says, all of you guys came together. And in that cluster, you and I were standing together. And may he live a very long life, because if he lives a long life, inshallah he will. Because he and I was on the same cluster. Because kids, they didn't say yes. Don't ask me how to put that math together, but kids didn't. But if they reached adulthood, yes, they did. Because that's the test. That's the test. That's why no kid is going to be asked questions if he dies as a child. No matter how he dies. Lucky. No questions asked. We raising high hand in front of Allah Azza wa Jalla and say, yeah, you know what this is? We're going to take this up. Now, I'll tell you what the problem is. Torah, free. Talmud, free. Psalms, free. Injil, free of this ayah. Quran is the first book that says, you know what, I'll tell you the secret now. You keep blaming Allah Azza wa Jal for putting you in this planet. In the Torah, in the Bible, in the Talmud, in the Injil, I'll tell you who did this. You did this. I didn't put it on you, you put it on yourself. Have you heard this auntie coming to you and says, and there's always an auntie, okay. And an uncle too, who says, ye azmaish hai ya saza hai. Have you met that auntie yet? Are you that auntie? Have you met that uncle? Yet? मिल लिया ना? पता नहीं आजमाइश है कि सजा है अल्लाह. हर चीज आजमाइश है. There is no punishment. You didn't get that simple? This is what the Quran just said. You took it upon yourself. There is no punishment unless the day of judgment happens. We are Muslims, we should know that. Everything else is a trial. Pain, trial. Happiness, trial. Not going into philosophy right now, just telling you this is how simple it is. So when next time auntie comes, Fatma, कि बेटा punishment मिल रही है, trial है. Auntie, Surah Ahzab. Okay? Surah Ahzab. So, coming to the general source, समझ आ गई सबको? Everybody clear? You and I asked for it. So don't blame Noshaba. You asked for Canberra up there. Okay? She didn't convince you. You asked the biggest problems. And Canberra is not your biggest problem. I'll tell you the biggest problem is. Ryan becoming an MP, fighting for Israel is your bigger problem. And he's gonna, if you don't change anything about this. Because everyone, till now, Australia is the only ally with America which vetoes against every resolution. 116 countries give every single time against the war crimes of Israel. 5 people other than America, Australia, Luxembourg, Micronesia, Nicaragua. You know who those little puppets are? They don't even know how to spell their own names. You know, Nicaragua and Micronesia and Luxembourg, they don't count. You know what they are? Those are 3 countries who enter the UN room where everyone's voting, like, what's going on? I don't even know what's going on, so we'll just sit with wherever the Americans are sitting. Because they're supposed to ask for tea and we're supposed to bring them a cup of tea. So, they don't even matter. Australia matters. Australia is not just any other country. And the problem is not Australia. The problem is you in Australia. The problem is you in Canberra. The problem is the problems of the world while you are in Canberra. The problem is you being an adult in Canberra while the problems were going on around the world. That's the bigger problem. That's what Allah is saying. You don't even know what you were asking for. Putting your hand in the cookie jar, you didn't even know what was going on. No, we told you when you said, "Oh, I'm going to do it." Yes, sir. Upar ka, ya Allah, upar ka darja 7, number 7 chahiye Firdaus. Not just you. I mean, I know I was there. I'm not. You know, you have no idea. So these are all conscious decisions. My slide format does not work on this station, so it's going to be all black and white and no pictures. Okay, we're going to send you the slide decks. It'll have all the funnels. Let me just explain to you where I was. All of this is covered, by the way. Yeah, so there are 3 kinds of Muslims that you're going to actually encounter. Immigrants only, okay? In Pakistan, there are only two kinds of Muslims, non-believing Muslims and people who think they're Muslims or not Muslims. Okay, so there is a believing Muslim and then there's a non-believing Muslim, and don't focus on that. Let me not distract you. No, don't read. Look at me, it's all right. I need you to understand, because without the diagrams it's going to be a little difficult. You're going to start reading it. Anyone who's ever read psychology at any level? No? Oh yeah, you are? Okay. So you understand what an existential crisis is. You don't have to be a psychology major to understand that. Every immigrant knows existential psychology, crisis. Okay, especially girls, you know it way more because you feel, you have a bigger spectrum of emotions. Okay, that's natural, that's medical, that's science. Okay, what's your name? Ramin, so how old are you? 12. 10? Oh, 12, I was thinking you were 10. So 12, Ramin, you're going to feel more, how you have brothers? You're going to feel more of the world than your brother, okay? Don't judge him. He's not dumb. Okay, we just don't have enough brain, which means we're dumb, by the way. We don't have enough brain. But he's got different intelligence, you got different intelligence. Girls feel more. You get a true feeling of the world, okay? Boys don't, we don't. So what we do is, we ask. We ask the next guy, and he doesn't feel it. So what we do is, we form a conclusion based on the number of people that we are actually talking to. You can actually get the true feeling, okay? So you're born here. Oh, okay, Australia. Yeah, okay. So your parents from?
Pakistan.
Oh, you're her parent? Okay, so you're from?
Pakistan.
No, where?
Islamabad.
Oh, you're from Islamabad. Nice. Okay.
Nice to see you here.
Yes, same here.
The videos बहुत देखी.
Yeah, video है इस्लामाबाद में मुलाकात होगी इंशाल्लाह तो. Yeah. गांव की है, बनता है ना. गांव की है, बनता है. Yeah, I'll tell you why. मैं क्यों ये डाखाने में ला रहा हूँ. That's part of my demand of psychology. Okay, I landed in Melbourne. Okay, I'll tell you what, 10th, maybe what, 9th, 10th. I got terrified first day because of, the kind of flight I got. Did not know. One of my teammates booked that flight, okay? And as soon as I entered Melbourne, आपका नाम क्या है? Nasir. The way I've been treated by Melbourne, my hosts, makes me believe that I cannot survive without them. You know, it's not just the Desi culture, but it's the personalization of my hosts, taking care of little things, and so all that flight thing is washed away. And, everything, they're taking care of everything, as much as they can, because I'm trying to run away from them and they're trying to chase. Literally, I swear to God, I'm running, hiding, and they're chasing me, finding me, so that they can take care of me. That's what your own people do for you. That's called community. That's called a bond. Okay? That's what Fatima, you said, when an immigrant comes out, lives in a totally different land, he does not get that. He requires that. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's basic demand of human beings. So that everybody comes together and helps me wherever I'm down, whatever I'm suffering, let alone bleeding for whatever I'm going through. So if you don't get that, you feel less worthy. It's called self-worth. If you have enough of self-worth pattern, all of a sudden the next stage comes. You know what that is? Zero or breaking or fracturing the self-esteem. Once your self-esteem breaks, you're a nobody. You are a who? You are a nobody. Forget Australians and accents and English and parliaments and Israel. No. Your next door neighbor is going to step over you and you would want him to do that. Zero self-esteem people want the pain. They feel as if they're getting some attention. So they're worth something. Even if someone steps on my head or face, even that is something. That's low self-esteem. That's why Fatima, immigration, hijrah is such a big thing, because you start from zero self-esteem. Your father never tells you this. You know why? You're too young. He wants to protect you. He fights this battle every day to create his self-esteem. I swear to God, that's the toughest battle. Tougher than Gaza and Israel. A battle of invisible, infinite variables going on. Color, creed, English and grammar and money and car and house and next door neighbor, his car, my family back home, my friends, my classmates, everything coming into comparison. There's a big guy, Vroom, with a V, read him up, okay? At your age, you should know that. He came up with this book. I teach that book. That's why. Where he came up with this weird phenomena, which is now a quotient. It's called Vroom's quotients. How to measure the equity of a human being versus the equity of another human being. We compare that every single time. It's called the coefficient of input versus the outputs. Whatever I give as work and I get in return versus my colleague who gives whatever input and then if he gets more output with the same input, no matter what kind of output I'm getting, I'm still going to be demotivated. Okay? Not complicating this, what I'm saying is, self-esteem, beta, jab zero hoti hai, you have no idea. That is the lowest part of your, lowest point in your life. And zero self-esteem, man can never be a father. He can never be a mother. And you know what the problem is? He cannot be a husband and she cannot be a wife. That's why, if you're new in Australia, I do not know Ghaib, but in 10 years, you're going to have extramarital problems. Most probably. Because Pakistanis and Indians don't get self-esteem developed inside their own countries because of whatever crooks that we're actually living with, and not just Imran Khan, Nawaz Sharifs. I'm talking about your school teachers as well. I'm talking about your, your regular Joes. Everyone's trying to, do whatever they can. They hurt the fabric of the child's self-esteem, and as soon as he develops into some sort of a decision maker, he runs to countries like these, and as soon as he comes here, he's already suffering from low self-esteem, and this is a battlefield for the big and mighty. A low self-esteem guy is never going to win it. Never. So what he's going to do is, he's going to chase the goatees. You know why? And you know what those women will be? Not his friends. You know who they're going to be? No point for guessing those kind of women. Only to satisfy his self-esteem. And the wives are going to do the same thing. And you're not going to expect from a Desi woman disloyalty, extramarital affair, infidelity. You don't expect that. So it's going to be twice the shock. Twice the shock. You expect this from a Desi man, any man. You're trained into thinking men are going to cheat on you. But we are trained into thinking even if women cheat on, Desi woman doesn't, Muslim woman doesn't. So that becomes such a bad, shocking, devastating event for us that we do twice the reaction. That's the spiral. God forbid you're going to enter in the next 10 years. If you're a newly immigrant, especially in Australia, if you have that sort of, ST definition. So where are the symptoms and indicators? Regular indicators. I talk to boys. I'll tell you what the girls say. The boys say, sir, you know what, आप ऑस्ट्रेलिया टूर पे नजरों की हिफाजत की टेक्निक सिखाएं सर. Like really? Yeah, that's what your bigger problem is? Sir, have you not been to Melbourne yet? Have you not been out? And I said, yeah, I've been out. I've seen enough creatures like you. Yeah. नज़रों की हिफाजत तो मुझे आपके थ्रू अपनी करनी चाहिए. Do you know your wife and kids require a real man with high self-worth and self-esteem who's going to call the shots, whose bigger achievement is not कि वो मेरे तो नीचे भी गोरे काम करते हैं. That's his bigger achievement. That's it. That's the epitome of life. Imagine how low our self-esteem would be that this is some achievement level in your matrix. So don't read everything here. Just Try and understand what's going on out there, okay? So, your first generation immigrant is self-motivated, very self-motivated. It takes a lot of work to come out of Pakistan. Not paperwork, mental work. Paperwork to hota hi hai. Mental work, decision, convincing. Well, no, not convincing. Everyone wants you to come out. But he's super motivated. And then all of a sudden, he comes into this sort of country, and first thing he loses is his identity. Why? Because, that's why I said, apne zara clerics ke naam bataएं. Because you rightly pointed out, sir, all the people that you're going to go through, Islam ki core jo hamari identity hai, the thing that we actually cherish the most, no matter what you take off, take my clothes off, take my skin off, cannot take Islam off. We all have that in common. Take my passport off, yeah. Take my kids away, don't take my Islam away. That's what we are. And you know what the problem is? That's the first thing anyone's going to take away. You know why? Because usko ground hi nahi kiya hua. We have not centralized the function of Islam, the purpose of Islam. And if you do not know the purpose of being in any company, how are you going to remain in that company? Whatever job that you do, if you don't know the purpose of the company and your purpose in the company, then how are you measuring the worth of your own self in that company? Think about it. What kind of contribution are you doing in that company if you don't even know what the company does or what you have to do for that company? That's something that mainstream Islam misses. I'll tell you why. Because we were influenced in the 1700s, 1800s, when Muslims were losing their system, their whole political system in 1924 fell down on its face, and Winston Churchill did not just draw lines on the map, he drew lines inside our minds as well. Okay? That's the problem most clerics are not solving. That's the problem most Muslim speakers are not telling you, because they're taking that literature of what to do in Islam from the time when Islam was already an established system in the world. So they're going to quote you all the big names, you know, literally, from Ibn Kathir to Ibn al-Qayyim, from Ibn Arabi to Ibn Hisham. Every hadith, every ayah, everything, and then the reference of the tabi'ins and tabi'ins and, you know, till 200 years ago. But they keep forgetting that at that time, Muslims were not dying to go to Canberra and Miami. Muslims were inside a central system when they were writing all of these books. Muslims never suffered from that problem of existential crisis. Never. Now Muslims can't even, for example, Australian dollar is clinged up with an index with the US dollar. You know, everybody knows that? So is the Pakistani rupee, right? So is the Japanese yen. What is that index? You know the index, right? You know that there is a measuring instrument. An American president can't just say, you know what, today the dollar should be about 500 Australians. You cannot do that. There's a certain system, okay? There's a regulation of how currency moves up and down.
So is it against the gold?
Yeah, the bullion, yeah. It is against the gold, but not just against the gold. There's a lot of other variables now. We cannot go in that detail, but yeah, it's primarily gold, yeah. But gold remains the same. There's so many things that keep on changing. For example, now, you know, after Russia, Ukraine, there's going to be a lot more, but you know, there's so much that goes on because of the kind of resources you already have. It's called reserves. So, amongst other things. There's an index, there's a process. Just like that, a Muslim worth can only be measured if there's a central capital index. And there was. That's why America used to pay tax to who? To Muslims, just to live in the seas, trade in the seas of the world, of the planet. Benjamin Franklin used to pay tax to the Muslim empire so that we can trade in our the Atlantic and the Mediterranean Sea. That's a standard practice of, the empire. If you want to come across anything that is, around our airspace, you got to pay tax for it. It's simple. It's that simple. And that's why most Pakistanis don't know that. Most Pakistanis are Muslims because some non-Muslim man tried to rape some non-Muslim woman, and that non-Muslim woman, in Karachi by the way, that non-Muslim woman said, you know what, there's only one system that has the value and worth of a woman. I'm going to write letter to that guy, and he's not going to let you go, because this is a crime in his books. In Karachi, there was no system. Nobody knew Islam in that system. So she wrote a letter. There was a ship. They were traveling in a ship. She wrote a letter, and she gave it to the guy in the ship that, who is going to take this letter to the worst man in the history of Muslims, which is Hajjaj bin Yusuf, but still running a system of Islam, which is going to measure my worth, because I'm a Muslim woman. And all of a sudden, this one guy just runs away with the letter, takes it to Hajjaj bin Yusuf, and he says, a Muslim woman was touched. And he sends the army, and all of us now are Muslims. To protect a woman, we are 300 million Muslims now. To protect a woman, we are all 300 million Muslims. That's the value of a Muslim. And of all the people, the most insecure woman is Pakistani woman now. She's afraid of not non-Muslim, she's afraid of the most Muslims in Pakistan. She can't cross the street, and that's why you feel relieved in Canberra. There's no Pakistani staring at me. Ask your mother, as a woman, how it is to live in Islamabad. She'll be like, it's like closer people have microscopes and farther off people have telescopes. As soon as she takes her first step outside the house, everyone in Islamabad homes right in. She turns the street, everybody's like, okay, over to you guys, over to you, next street. And the next street guys just look at her. That's her life every single day. I ask girls in Canada, America, and wherever, it's like, what's the difference between Pakistan, India, and this? Nobody stares here. Nobody stares. Nobody stares. That's like your achievement. इतनी तंगाई भी थी औरतें हमसे. That after many years of Canada, America, Scandinavia, Denmark, if I have to say, what happened? Good or bad decision? Good decision. Why? Nobody stares here. We stare them like Guantanamo Bay. These are the two jail cells that we put them into. Stare them right outside of Pakistan or India. I mean, you're going through hell in, social, economical, or whatever, financial, whatever. But you're like, thank God I'm not in Muslim country anymore. Muslim country of Muslim men. What's your name, sir? Yeah.
Ismail.
Ismail.
Yes.
Ismail.
Yes, Ismail.
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 Yeah, Ismail. Yeah. So where are you from?
In Dubai.
In Dubai.
Yeah. Oh, like where in Dubai?
No.
Right.
Before that.
I was born there and raised there.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? About the girls?
Not particularly.
You don't know when people stare at girls? No? Okay. Good enough. I'm not gonna give you ideas. So, good. Stay like this. Girls are not afraid of being stared at by men. Good. Awesome. Good life. Okay. So, two different clerics. Hold on to those. I want you to let go of some parts of one cleric. Don't let go of any of these clerics. Even if it is Mufti Menkur Naman or Yasir Qazi. Awesome learning. Make sure. Do not divorce the man. Okay? Do not divorce the man by just thinking, his philosophy is not complete. Oh, it doesn't matter. He's telling you whatever he's telling you is usable, awesome at so many levels. I'll tell you what those levels are. But let's construct the diagram first. Where's the problem? The problem is, if you're taking the literature from the time when Muslims are already in a center, in a station, in a system, and now that we're not, those things will become, what was the thing that you called, sir? Way of life, rituals, and what's that word? Let me just show you. A bigger part, a placebo part of the belief system, okay? Here you go. The values, the behavior, and the rituals. That's all we're getting for Muslim scholarship right now. The values, yeah, they give you values. They give you behaviors, how to behave, and then they give you rituals. 3 Eids in Australia, first country to have 3 Eids. Rituals, these are rituals. These are events in Islam. You should not have 3 Eids. Come on, be a regular Muslim, have 2 Eids. Okay? 2 choti Eids, 2 badi Eids. Don't have 3 choti Eids, 3 badi Eids. That's kind of weird, okay? Even for Muslims. So, what happens? What happens is because most of the Muslims don't read the Quran and Sirah and Hadith, whatever I'm going to tell you, you're naturally going to think, oh, you know what, he's talking about Islam, so he might know more about it than me. So whatever he's going to say is going to be right and I'm going to take it. So what this is going to happen is, your current clerics are going to become catalysts to the already fractured psychology that you already have. That's why if there is no Apple, the company, or Microsoft, there is no worth of any employee who's working for Apple or Microsoft. That's what's going on right now. You take away the system and you remain intact all the teachings of Islam, those teachings will seem right, but they're not worth anything. Okay? Just like that, the policy and process, the code of conduct of any company is awesome. But that company, if it remains no more, on paper that code of conduct is amazing code of conduct, but it's not worth anything. Just like that, you took out the system of Islam, but you let the literature of Islam remain, and then you keep pumping values, behaviors, and rituals. Yeah, they are rituals, they are values, they are all good looking, they make a lot of sense, but they're not going to save us from any problem. They're not going to make us measure any worth or any contribution I'm supposed to do. We can't even do the zakat properly. That's why we can't even run the zakat calculators properly. Because zakat is run as a central system. Human, individual Muslims are not supposed to run zakat themselves and try and do math. The central system does the zakat. I know, I have done it. A partner of mine, my mentor, my teacher, is about to launch this app about how to run a central zakat system. Take it, run it yourselves, combine together. No Muslim, not even a single Muslim, will go hungry or be under the line of poverty if that central system of zakat comes into play today, with the number of Muslims and the value of Muslims, that is the worth, what's the word, the affluence of Muslims, that the money that we already have as Muslims. We don't even need anybody else's money. I'm just telling you just one indicator, which is the zakat, which is the money, the circulation of money, which is the system of how we run the economics for the poor. Now, I'll tell you why I'm telling you this. If there is no central system, there is no way to measure zakat for everybody. Because then everyone will have to do it on his own. And that's why you get questions like, oh sir, I must make a salary after every month. How am I supposed to pay zakat? I got this and that going on. I don't have any stagnant income. How am I supposed to pay zakat? And every cleric comes up with a new answer. That's why different types of problems, which are not even supposed to be there, have different types of fatwa. And the one thing that is most famous from Australia is, outside Australia by the way, I did not know that before I came here. I mean, I knew that way before I came here, sorry. I did not know it after I came here. Locals didn't tell me. I knew about Australians, Muslims, that Anybody can get any kind of fatwa, no problem. An imam is going to be there to service you. Contradictory fatwa, yeah, awesome. So every flavor of fatwa is available in Australia. It's like, that's not even possible because you guys are what, 800,000, maybe a half, close to 1 million Muslims altogether in Australia. There cannot be that kind of dissonance already, but there is. You're not that old in Australia, but there is that kind of dissonance. Maybe that is why. So this is the fracture, and these are what is the cause? Anybody? I'm just going to revise it one last time. What's the cause? Most of the definitions of Islam that you are getting are only for rituals, values and behaviors. Why? Because the literature that you are using is from the prime of Islam, but they've taken the prime out. Now, Pakistan is not an Islamic country. We cannot say, you know what, this literature, Pakistan mein agar everybody starts to tell the truth, all of a sudden Sharia is going to come up. No, it's not going to happen like this. If everybody pays zakat, if everybody pays, their taxes or whatever, things are going to get better. No, it's not going to happen like this. There's a way bigger thing that you're missing out on. But I'm not here to teach you that. I'm here to tell you that how to actually place yourself and understand the fracture. So, you and I, our mommies and daddies, did the same thing. My mother told me what Islam is. You know what she told me? Padho pehla kalma tayyib. Tayyib mane pak. And that's how Islam is being trained in Pakistani households. Your mommy did this, my mommy did this. My father also told me, this is right or this is wrong. Mostly who is right or who is wrong rather than this is right, this is wrong. And we never got that question. We didn't even ask that question, nor did we get an answer. Oh, what is it for? All of this Islam and being Muslim, what is this for? What is the purpose of all of this? That's where I put that ayah in front of you. That's the cause. This is the two. Look at this. These are the two psychologies, the philosophies. The philosophy of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I'll tell you how to look into it, and it'll prove it on its own. And the philosophy of all of us, all of us combined, and as individuals, and all the indicators I'll show you. Let's just take our philosophy. Fastest growing religion in the world is? Are you sure? Okay. Every big celebrity is coming into Islam. Regular people coming into Islam. Who is converting them? People like us. So people like us are converting people into Islam. Non-Muslims are throwing away the luxuries and coming to Islam looking at a guy like me. It's awesome. So what the code Umar al-Khattab couldn't crack, I cracked. Sahabas couldn't crack the code, I cracked it. You cracked it. Zakir Naik cracked it. Indians cracked it, and Indonesians cracked it. Okay, I believe you. Till now I believe you. Umar Suleiman, most beloved man in Muslim community in America. So is so many else. I'm just giving you a name because that name stuck into my mind. Because when he went into the LGBT parade to support them, everybody comes in, and then it's a win-win for everybody. And it's a peace. Islam is peace, and he gave the message of peace. And just like that, a lot of things were said and done about Charlie Hebdo, and we know who all of these people Muslims who do that. So Muslims actually are giving a very good picture of whatever we can actually do our best as marketeers, they say it, marketeers of Islam, and people come into Islam. I'm just talking about one thing here, because I'm going to go to the deep. This is just only two-layer process, two-story building. I'm going to go to the basement right after this. Now look at the Prophet ﷺ's Islam. As soon as he presents Islam, everybody hates it. Okay? Hates it so much that they try to kill him. Which of our version of Islam is going to make our lives difficult? No, actually, we're the fastest growing religion in Islam in the world. He becomes thrown away by his own family. Okay? So that means something else was going on at that time. He was presenting in a totally different flavor. We're presenting a totally different flavor. We could both be right. Of course, he is right, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We could be giving his own philosophy as well. Let's test that out at basement level now. Go a little lower. This is what happens. And I'm not talking about what philosophy you should have. I'm talking about the need of a philosophy and what's the difference of not having one. Current philosophers, all of us, all of the Muslims take the philosophy from established Islamic system. You know what that philosophy was? That now the system is established, now work on yourself and grow into it so that you can sustain these kind of systems. You have to be an able man and a woman. Your nafs should be as clean as an angel because the system has to be sustained. Somebody, whoever, put the system intact and now you got to carry it forward. Now, this is the math. The teaching is the same, but the system is no more. So every Muslim is going to teach you this. What is the purpose of Islam? The nafs has to be clean as an angel. Why? Well, nobody asked the purpose question. Otherwise, the purpose question was there. So that you can sustain the system of Islam. You understand me? So that's why most of the Muslims are not going to answer this question. Why should I be cleansing and doing tazkiyah on my nafs? Why? What's the purpose of this? And you know what they're going to say? Because that's why Allah made us. Allah Ta'ala says, I only made jinns and insan so that they can do ibadah. And this is what's going on. If that were the case, then the finest way to do ibadah was to leave Makkah and never come back. Do not pick up, do anything. Take Ali and Khatija and run. You know what I'm saying? What he did was, he did the exact opposite. He said, no, listen, we're going to make sure that all of the system of Islam is implemented everywhere that we can. And if I am going to start this movement, and even if I don't finish it, the last entry, the second entry of Isa ibn Maryam is going to secure it. Every house has to have Islam as a message entering there. This is the system. That's the culmination of the whole ball game, which Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam starts and Isa ibn Maryam comes back and completes. Everyone has to be under the system of Islam. Okay, I get that. Why? What's the purpose? The purpose is simple. If you need to raise the acumen of an individual, the worth of an individual, the self-esteem of an individual, you need a regulation index, the system, because if it is not a global system, it is not going to get you that kind of self-esteem. Simple. So, Australia has athletics. Australia has athletics. Obviously, it has athletics. Okay. If you were anybody, just raise your hand. I just want to talk to you. Or just yes, sir. What's your name? Jafar. Jafar with an ayn, right? Jafar. Okay. I was just about to quote a story from Jafar ibn Tayyar, but immigrated to Habsha. So, Jafar, you want to train for athletics to compete for Australia. Okay. You got to do some certain training, right? Listen to me. If you want to work on your nafs and you clean yourself and be honest and peace-loving and what's the word, good human being and respectful and all the values and all the virtues and all those attributes and all of that, then you got to have that sort of a backing from a purpose. That's what I'm saying. That's what's missing. Why? So Jafar is preparing for Australian athletics. Give me another. So what's your name? The USA T-shirt. Yeah, the boy. Yeah. What's your name?
Shamil.
How do you spell that?
S-H-A-M-E-L.
Shamil. Awesome. Shamil. Nice pronunciation, man. You pick it up. Shamil. Jafar and Shamio. So Jafar is preparing for Australian, right? And Shamio is preparing for the Olympics. Same, track and field, okay, both. You know what track and field is, right? Okay, 100-meter sprint, okay? Australia, Olympics. Tell me in 1 year they're going to compete. Who is going to be a better athlete? Shamio? Why? Because you heard Shamio. He's competing for the Olympics and Jafar is competing for the Australian National Games. Who's going to be a better athlete? Girls. How come boys are so clear about common sense questions? I'm sorry, yeah. Girls, yes ma'am. No, the girl's just about to cry, yeah. Yeah, what's going on? Why is it so sad? Jafar and Shamio, come on, think about it. Okay, it's simple. Australian athletics versus the Olympics. What requires a better athlete? You know the Olympics, right? The 5-ring thing that everyone in the world, yeah. I thought that was an easier question, eh? I don't know, I need a girl to answer this. Olympics नहीं पता आपको? आपको Olympics नहीं पता seriously? Olympics like पूरी दुनिया इकट्ठी होती है, लड़ाई करते हैं एक दूसरे से, वो एक मशल लेके जाता है शुरू में, हर 5 साल बाद. Olympics नहीं सुना कभी लफ्ज़? कोई बंदूक दो मुझे. सुना हुआ ही हुआ है Olympics. ये नहीं पता क्या होता है, सुना हुआ है. जैसे नोबेल प्राइज सुना हुआ है, इस्लाम सुना हुआ है. Yes, sir. Jafar, be a little louder. I want every girl to listen to this.
Isn't it not about if it's Australia or Olympics? It depends on how you master the skill level.
Level. That's exactly what my question is. Where's the difference in the level? So Olympics, everyone in the human planet is competing. And in Australia, only human beings in Australia are competing. Okay? You're obviously going to have a totally different level. That's why Australia does not win all the gold medals, right? Yeah, no, it's not about, because Australia wins a lot, many. Okay? You have to understand. Give credit where credit is due. But the world is competing with you. So Shamio is naturally going to be 10 times the athlete because he's competing with at a totally different level. He's competing against everything. That's the global level athlete we're preparing here. Okay? So I'm not saying you're going to be a bad athlete. What I'm saying is you cannot compete. You cannot compete, I'm sorry. It's Mercedes versus Kia. Okay? You cannot compete. It's Apple versus any other computer. Well, not any other, but locally made, locally sold computers. Okay? So, Olympics होती हैं जहाँ पे athletics. Okay? No, you don't know. Come on, it's the right. What step is to say I do not know? It's okay. Olympics में वो भागते 23 से ना तो ऐसे कर रहे थे जीतते हुए. Girls, seriously. That's why, you know what? That's why they generally think देसी लड़की dumb होती है. That's what they're thinking, I swear. You know what? They don't say it. We don't say it. You know what we do? We don't expect it. We don't say it. We're like, आपसे इसलिए नहीं पूछा क्योंकि आपको तो आता होगा ही नहीं. And you know what क्या सवाल था? दूसरी शादी कर लूं? Why don't we tell the truth, man? We naturally think that the Desi girl is dumb. Why don't we say it? Not dumb like absolutely dumb, dumber than the man. You know, because you know what? असल में नहीं है आप लोग dumb. But no, well, असल में नहीं है आप dumb. I know the science. You're not dumber than the man. I know some of my friends are so dumb you have no idea. They're boys. They're like dumber than dinosaurs. They should be extinct. But you girls are not giving enough samples of intelligence. I'm telling you, I swear. Especially little girls. No, you can't keep looking at me. I know you're looking, yeah. Come up with some examples we need. You know who needs it? My daughter needs it. We need heroes from girls. फायदा क्या हुआ आपका कैमरा आने का? ये कामियों वाली अच्छी करनी है. You know what? लेकिन गोल रोटी ज़्यादा अच्छी बनाती हैं वो. आपने तो वो भी छोड़ दिया आगे. कौन मुझे कह रहा था पराठे भी नहीं बनते अब तो पाकिस्तानी. No, I am sad. I'm not just disappointed because I know Allah nahi aise banaya hua. God has given equal. Actually, you know what? Girl's brain is bigger than the boy's brain. You know that, right? No, you didn't know that because you don't know these things. This is the truth, by the way. Your same size of man, your brain is going to be bigger than his. Same height, same fat content. So God gave you a bigger brain, but you didn't use it, except on things which are, you use it. So Jafar is naturally going to lose. Shamil is naturally going to win. Give him a year. Why? Because he's competing at a different level, at a bigger global level. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. These people put the man in the center. And they say, you know what, all you got to do is just be a good athlete, man. Even though, you know what Islam was saying? Every man, you're responsible for every man. Put a system in. Every man, play the Olympics. Every prophet played the Olympics in that term, of course. Everybody under the leadership. That's why, Marine, when you said Noman, he was taking care of everybody. And I said, everybody who? And you said the army. I was like, are you kidding me? Everyone in the world. Whatever you're going to do, Shamil, every boy is going to reap the benefits if you do the good thing. And if you do have something wrong, every boy is going to find an excuse. If he can do it, I should do it too. That's the responsibility upon Muslims. But we don't, you know what we do? As if we're going to live under a fig tree and go into this yogi pan, and then you're like, you know what? Me and my God connected, and that's it. And that's the kind of Islam that we've been given. That's why there's no index. That's why there's no measure. And that's why no matter how good or bad you are as a Muslim, you will never be able to know. That's why lack of self-belief. That's it. You want self-esteem? You need an index. You want self-belief? Sorry, you need a system. How are you going to measure the value of the dollar if you do not have a system that regulates the dollar or any other currency? That's how simple mechanisms are. That's why Ali bin Abi Talib and Umar Khattab and Abu Bakr Siddiq were measured. Allah said, I went to the Prophet ﷺ and said, am I higher in rank than Abu Bakr? The Prophet ﷺ used to look at a person like this. Whenever anybody asked a question, Prophet ﷺ gave both of his shoulders and both of his eyes to him. That's the phrase in Arabic. Both of his shoulders and both of his eyes means, you talk to me, and all of a sudden, even if I'm looking like this, if you say anything, I'm going to give you all of me. And the Prophet ﷺ used to give all of his attention to the person. Amr bin al-As says that when the Prophet ﷺ used to do that, the regular person used to think he's very, very important because the Prophet ﷺ is directly looking into me now with both of his shoulders and both of his eyes. So he says, I got a little ahead of myself when Prophet ﷺ started talking to me. So I said, maybe I should ask. I said, O Rasulullah, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, do you think I'm a little on the rank as close to Abu Bakr Siddiq or even higher? But Prophet ﷺ was anything but someone who's not going to tell the exact bitter truth, even if you like it or not. So Prophet ﷺ says, he says, Allah says that Prophet ﷺ, without any takalluf says, La, no, Abu Bakr Siddiq is way higher in rank. And then he says, then I was like, okay, I'm still that important because he looks at me. So I feel it. I'm going to ask if Umar Khattab, because he was a big enemy of Islam, like I was before Islam. So am I bigger than higher than Umar Khattab? And the Prophet says, La, no, you're not. He's way higher than rank. And then he says, so Usman? And Prophet says, no. And then Amr bin al-As writes himself, okay? It's the Muslim hadith, a very long hadith, very amusing hadith of Amr bin al-As. He says, then instead of asking for the fourth person, I kind of noticed that maybe I'm going to let all of the Arab pass in front of me without getting my name in, because now he's losing self-worth. You understand me? That's the difference between self-worth and self-esteem. Self-esteem, no comparison. Self-worth, comparison, equity versus equity. That's psychology. That's classic psychology 101. That's exactly what I mean. Our self-esteem is shattered when we come out of Pakistan. Self-worth can be made from anywhere. I could be a great cricketer and an amazingly terrible man and still have self-worth. Okay, you know what? I can bowl faster than anybody. But if I have shattered self-esteem, I cannot have any relationship, any reliability, any dependability, any leadership, any self-confidence. That's the debris that we're all under. That's why I'm saying, who's going to salvage that? You and I cannot salvage that individually. We can only salvage that unless we come together. That's why I'm saying this awakening tour is going to bring everybody together. I'm going to give you, for your kids, inshallah, concepts for you, especially little, like between 12 and 18, 24. I'm going to tell you what to do if this and that happens. Make sure you understand how to re-establish your self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, most of all self-image, so that you can be a benefactor to your fellow Muslim, because my job is not to create a system of Islam. I cannot do that alone. My job is to connect all the Muslims for the sake of creating the system of Islam. Because if there is not single system of Islam, then I'm sorry, my self-esteem is zero. My self-worth is zero. Because any other American, Aussie, Kiwi, Indian, African, Norwegian, Japanese, Chinese, it's going to come and across my eyes, my eyesight, and my self-image is going to shatter. Because I am nothing in the global index compared to what this guy is. And that's what's going on in front of every human being that you guys are facing. I am talking through all of these slides so you don't have to worry about it. This is the fracture I'm talking about. I need you to understand this quote from Noam Chomsky. You know who Noam Chomsky is? Read this. Noam Chomsky, he's not a Muslim. He's not a Muslim. He's not a Jew, okay? He's not a Jew. But he says, ASD in philosophy is more of a problem in the world than ASD. You know what the autism is ASD. Autism, you know what autism is, okay? Forget the spectrum. I don't want to go in complication. The spectrum means there are different levels of autism. But ASD means generally the autistic mind. Autism in philosophy is more of a problem in the world than autism in neurology. Autism in neurology is autism, okay? That's a disease. This guy is saying that in philosophy, like Muslims have two different philosophies now. One asystematic and the other one systematic. One has to have a system. The purpose of a Muslim and purpose of Islam is to establish the rule of Allah Azza wa Jalla all over. Okay? Let non-Muslims be non-Muslims. But Muslims are supposed to be worked against the system, measured against the system. So he says the autism of philosophy, and now keep in mind the Muslims right now, okay? The autism of Muslim philosophy is more of a problem in the Muslim world than the autism, the disease, causing everyone to lose their identity and reliability, because self-esteem makes you reliable. With anything right or wrong, your basic morality cannot be intact if you're not carrying your self-esteem. That's why we are so easily manipulatable, okay? Every desi man and woman can be manipulated so easily. Compromise threshold, barrier of entry is so low. Sometimes even for money. Well, most of the time even for money. But sometimes even for just money, you can betray any of the values that you're carrying. That's called corruption, right? If you take money and break a value, that's called corruption. So that's what he's saying, that if you have autistic philosophy, that's worse than you have autistic psychology. And that's what I'm saying right now in front of the camera, in Canberra, standing in Australia, that most immigrants are philosophically autistic. No matter whether you're Muslim or you're not. You got to come out of this autism and come into your philosophy so that you're philosophically identifiable. And if you're philosophically identifiable as a Muslim, then I gotta be able to measure you. How much of a Muslim are you, man? Have you ever asked this question to anyone? How much of a Muslim are you? You know what the answer is? Oh, I pray 5 times a day. That's how much of a Muslim? I'll tell you an example. I'm just going to quote you an example. There's a big study. I want to finish with this, and I'm going to take your question. Doctors overseas, I don't trust Imran Khan's stats, but he did quote, his administration quoted that more than 12 billion rupees, or maybe dollars, he was quoting, are coming from overseas Pakistanis to Pakistan. See, when there's a system of measurement, you can actually measure the contribution. وَأَعِدُّ لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ, Allah Ta'ala says, get all the money in. So if there was a system, economically speaking, I could exactly know, and I have done the calculation, that's what we're going to release, inshallah, in Perth, if time allows us. There are 3 major indicators. One is the big economic indicator, the financial. You can know how much of a Muslim you are if there is a system and you're contributing to that system. That's very simple math. So we can know that, for example, APNA doctors are about $500,000 a year. There are 12,000 registered Muslim doctors in APNA. So you know what that means? 12,000 means $500,000, $6,000 million. Which means 6 billion, 600 billion. That can shake any and every system, right? Even if they do 10% of it. You know, I'm giving you an example. Make sure you understand what I'm trying to do here. I'm giving you the measure. If there is no system, you're worth 0 as a Muslim. But if you have a system, you can have a worth, even measured in terms of money. Now, I gave you this example so that you can understand. Just like APNA, the doctors, there's another organization. I need you to Google that up today. You should have known by now. Israel is measuring the worth of every Jew through every penny every Jew is contributing towards the system of Judaic philosophy installed by Theodor Herzl in Tel Aviv, which is called Israel. So their system called Israel is actually measuring the worth of every Jew who is, I swear to God, contributing to all these 3 things, primarily money, which is the Quran's order, that if you are not going to become this one system, this one nation, and contribute whatever you have, and become one organism, then you are the cancer to that organism. Okay? This is what Allah is saying. Let me just, here, this is Israel. This is the model of Israel. That's what I'm saying, that they are the Jews of the Quran. And I'm asking you that overseas Pakistanis, overseas Muslims are the biggest hope for me. Local Pakistanis cannot even dream of what I'm saying right now. They can't even comprehend what I'm saying right now. They think I'm a kook. And living example of Israel is right in front of them. So, here Allah Ta'ala says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ. The key word is مَا بِقَوْمٍ. If you're not coming together as one nation, one system, okay? If you're not treating each other as one system, one people, then as individuals, you're nobody. You're nobody. You're not worth 0. No. 0 is a number. You're nobody. And if you come inside a system, connect with each other, then work towards a single purpose, then you become a system. And it has, first and foremost, financial demand upon you. And that's what وَأَعِدُّ لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم means. And that's exactly what Allah is saying, that okay, if you are not going to behave like a system, behave like people, as single organism, all of you, then I'm not going to help you. That's why I've said no prayer of any Muslim is going to be answered. जितनी मर्जी दुआएं कर ले, मैं उर्दू में बता रहा हूँ जान के, ताकि आपके इमोशनल हद नस पे लगे जाके, ख़वातीन, कोई दुआएं कबूल नहीं होनी आपकी। ये अल्लाह ताला ने यहाँ पे बता दिया हुआ है, इसलिए नहीं हुई आज तक कोई दुआएं कबूल। मांग के देखें, रो के जान नमाजों पे कई कई हज़ार तस्बीहात की मिन्नतें मांग के देखें, दुआएं कबूल नहीं होनी। रूल इज सिंपल कि अल्लाह ने उस कौम की हालत कभी नहीं बदलनी जिसने खुद अपनी हालत ना बदलनी हो। This is it. This is Surah Rad. Google it up, Surah Rad. Look, this is not the translation. This is not the translation. Translation, you should Google up. This is what I'm just saying. Iqbal ने शेर लिखा था ना. What is Iqbal शेर? खुदा ने आज तक उस कौम की हालत नहीं बदली, ना हो जिसको ख्याल खुद अपनी हालत के बदलने का. This is the translation of this ayah. Iqbal just wrote it in poetry. Does this say that if a man does not fix himself and his nafs and tazkiyah, Allah is not going to help him? No. It says Allah only helps when you come together and behave the way I made a purpose for Islam to be. Inna deena inda Allahil Islam. Allah only has Islam. Islam is not an individualistic matter. If it were, Prophet ﷺ would have been in different jungles and different isolated deserts. But no, he came in, he brought in everybody together, established a system, and we reaped the fruit of that system for till 1924. After that, every cleric, every speaker, every teacher, every school teacher, every Hafiz al-Quran, every muallim, every sheikh, every sheikha, better start getting their act together, that every Muslim has to come together, otherwise no Muslim is going to survive. And by the way, this is not just my theory, this is a practical example of what the Judaic philosophers did. And you know what the foremost duty of every Jew is? When is the third temple going to be made?
When all Israelis come.
There's a simple condition, third temple will never be made until, and they have, fill in the blanks, until what? Till every Jew enters the land of Israel. That's how simple third temple is. So they have a physical, geographical map of getting everybody together. But they're only chote se number, they're tiny little number, so they can do that. All Muslims can't even fit in Israel, even if they wanted to. We can't even fit in Pakistan or Bangladesh or wherever. So, that's their philosophy, that's not my philosophy. But my philosophy is don't go to Israel or wherever. Mu'adh bin Jabal, when he was going to Yemen by the Prophet ﷺ, he was sending him to Yemen. Mu'adh bin Jabal realized through the words of the Prophet ﷺ that Prophet ﷺ is not going to be here next year. And they both were crying, by the way. Both were crying. Prophet ﷺ is, going, sending him to Yemen, and he's just, bidding him farewell and goodbye. And Mu'adh bin Jabal says, what if I die and I cannot be with you? Or what if I'm physically not close to you and, either one of us die? Then the Prophet says, you don't have to be with me or close to me physically. Wherever you are, and as long as you're connected with me, through your, whatever deeds that you're doing, whatever the purpose that you're trying to suffice for, it doesn't matter whether you are in Israel or not. We are not Jews. We don't have to be in Mecca to be Muslims. Wherever we are, we have to be connected as one, and run as one, and perform as one. Unless we get connected, this is not going to come true. And if it's not going to come true, no individual Muslim, anything is going to come, divine help is coming. Aunillah, la ara, riyah, aunillah. No, everyone is going to say that. No, I don't see the aunillah coming in. The winds of Allah's help, they're not going to come in for me. Because I'm just a man. I'm sorry. I need the system to back me up. The funnel gets connected and every good comes to me. That's how simple it is. Are you not sad that a guy of my age has the guts to say that no prayer of yours is going to be answered? Are you not, your mind creating a challenge? How dare you say that to me, man? It is between me and my God. Is he going to depend on what you have to think about Islam? No, I'll tell you what the Quran says, and I'll tell you the seerah, and you do the math. And then you know what? Even if you don't want to do the math, just do the math on the last 20 times that your prayers were answered. Okay, you know what? 10. You know what? 5. Okay, you know what? Since I'm in Canberra, the last 2 times your prayers were actually answered. In a row. Literally. And you think it's a small matter? That's all we have. Allah, dua. What else do we think we have? और कोई asset है हमारे पास? दुआ से बड़ा कोई asset है हमारे पास? Read the hadith. I'm giving you a homework. Ali bin Abi Talib. The Sahabi goes and says, my prayers are not getting answered. And he says, you cannot be alone. Read the hadith. And he says, what do you mean I cannot be alone? It's like, there must be more of you. Go ask around. There must be more of you. Make a group and come back to me. And then the next day he says, yeah, there are a lot like me whose prayers are not answered. And Ali bin Abi Talib said, there are 8 things you got to do. 8 things. If they are not intact, no prayers are going to be answered. Get those 8 things in order. Read those 8 things. Homework. I gave you the whole thing. Homework is a little too easy, but come on. Self-esteem, white psychology, brown psychology, forget about all of this. This is the way more important problem on the table. No prayer is ever going to be answered. I think I'd rather be an Aussie and still get, a brown Aussie and still get all of my prayers answered. I'm okay with no self-esteem and still have my prayers answered. I'm just giving you an example of how big of a loss it is as an individual if you're not together as a group. I'm a nobody, and nobody gets nothing. Allah only listens to people who are strong. Imagine the odds. If I'm strong, Allah's going to make me stronger? Yeah. Same philosophy in Bible. Same philosophy in the Torah. Allah only helps those who are helping themselves as a group. So, Olympics करनी पड़ेंगी, इससे कम chance. Hey, Islam makes you start with the Olympics. Start with the Olympics. Imagine how beautiful this philosophy is. Nothing but the Olympics. Sorry, everyone's going to be a global level athlete. Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, every problem. Okay? That's where the parenting comes in. That's where the individual and other. I'm not going to go into 360 angles. So, let's jump in with the questions. What do you think? How are you going to angle this? 2 things I'm going to remind you. Okay, I'll tell you something what I'm going to do. I already am going to bring you together. We already have your data. We have all of the data about there. Yeah. We're going to bring you together. You can. This is not a compulsion. You can always leave the group. We're going to start getting connected together just to talk about knowledge levels first. This year, knowledge levels. What to do, concepts, so that I can teach my kids as to, and bigger questions, challenging questions. If this is right, then, how come, or make some sense out of that concept. Whatever kind of questions that you guys have, especially regarding your kids. Because your kids are going to ask a million questions. I'm telling you this right now. And you cannot just sugarcoat a fake answer and give a placebo and think you're doing a good job. No, your kid is going to stop asking you questions if you start giving him placebos. Because he's going to find somebody else and who's going to give him wrong or right answer, but at least attempting to give an answer. Okay? So these groups, these live sessions, these live interactions are going to be only for that purpose. Next step, we're going to give you New Zealand, we're going to give you, let's just say, UAE or wherever, so that you guys can, come together, and then we're going to host arbitration sessions so that you can talk and debate. Your kids can actually come together and learn together. Just like social clubs, but with a purpose of getting IQ of Muslims higher. If I can raise your kids' IQ through these kind of platforms, real questions with real candid questions which most of your kids are never going to ask you, Nushaba, Marine, your daughters, some questions are not going to be asked to you. I'm sorry. That's how we are designed as Pakistanis or Muslims. We have stopped the courage, we have lowered the courage of our kids to ask straight questions from our own parents. Important questions. And they are asking from their classmates, and they are getting the wrong answers. And they're not telling us. Even if sometimes they feel that they're getting the wrong answer, but they're not going to tell us because we make sure they get afraid of us as able parents. So we're going to get those platforms together so our kids can openly express and get their confusions out before they become atheists or whatever they naturally are going to become. And I don't blame them for becoming atheists at 10 or 12. Their parents are not even letting them breathe, for God's sakes. I'm talking about, intellectually. Yes, sir.
Jazakallah khair. My name is Hamza, and unfortunately I couldn't attend the gathering from the beginning, but I like the concept of establishing a system that every Muslim come together. From your experience, do you see at the moment any organization or any jama'at that actually the establishment is based on
is there.
No, based on establishing a system that every single Muslim come together? Or there is no jama'at at the moment working with this? Because 100% there is groups all agreeing with your philosophy as well.
Oh yeah, the concept everybody agrees with.
So
do you agree with the concept though? Yeah. That every Muslim should come together.
But do you believe there's some jama'at working hard on this?
But where are you from?
I'm from Palestine, from Gaza. So pray for our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, you're right. Well, you missed the first part. We tried to go a little as much detail as we could at that time. But all of these people come from a concept. All of these people, girls and boys, come from a concept which meant that all of the Muslims, whoever says La ilaha illallah, is going to get the citizenship of Pakistan. All of us. Ironic that you asked me this question. A practical example? Of course not. We ruined the hell out of it, but that's what Pakistan's manifesto was. Yeah, that's what we did, a struggle that, as long as you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, you're a Pakistani, you're a Muslim, and this is a system that we're going to establish in the name of Allah and the Prophet, and no law will ever be made which is repugnant to the Quran or Sunnah. Which is called Pakistan, by the way. Yeah, what I'm saying is, if we do not have the right concept, the right follow-through, that's what I'm saying. This is the follow-through. This is the follow-through of the people who came after Pakistan was made. Yeah, the current understanding of Islam. So when the current understanding of Islam meets the concept of Pakistan, of course Pakistan is nothing. We have to understand that. Pakistani is everything. Pakistani is a live human being. Pakistan is what? Just a land, piece of land. So whatever we do, whatever our belief system is, it's what's going to happen to Pakistan. So somebody gave us the biggest gift to establish a global. This is exactly what Theodore Herzl did to Israel. Israel is a concept that whoever is a born Jew is a national of Israel. Amazing concept. Whatever his belief is, I respect the fact that at least he tried. We should have tried that as Muslims. And even he would have prospered. Jews prospered really well under Muslim rule. They wouldn't have much of a problem. Now that thing called Israel, that creature, looks like a creature to us because look at us. Gaza does not suffer from Israel. I told you, Gaza suffers from me as Muslim. Fractured psychology and philosophy of Muslims. If Muslims were in the right philosophy, Gaza would have been a place of heaven for all of us. If only I as Sahil Adeem, would fix my philosophy, people in Gaza will prosper. Because I am the guy who's not doing anything about it. Jews are doing everything right, that they're whatever they believe in. I should give 100 marks to the Jews for doing whatever they believe in, and 0 marks to Muslims for not even doing a single % of whatever they believe in, whatever they say they believe in. That's what Gaza is not looking at Israel or Tel Aviv. Gaza is looking at Islamabad and Mecca and, Sana'a and Tehran and everything. And Jakarta is like, dude, what are you calling yourself Muslims for? You just look and be a spectator. That's what Islam was. Any Sahabi would have done that. Umar ibn Khattab would have been a spectator. 3 times it happened that a Muslim man or a woman was hurt. One time, not even hurt, just somebody played with her abaya. And the Prophet ﷺ took the whole army to guard that girl. And the other side, the Jews, they were the Jews. He kicked out everybody. That how dare you touch the abaya of my Muslim child? I'm just saying, this is how one system acts. This is what Islam's demand is. This is why I'm saying, unless you act as a people, you're going to die as individuals. We are going to die as individuals. Domestically, in our own emotional turmoils, and politically, as regular inhabitants of some foreign land, even if it is a Muslim, so-called Muslim land. We're not going to survive. Sorry.
Is there any organization? That was the main question.
Yeah. Can you give an example?
Well, I'll tell you something.
In Pakistan, how many Jamaat in Pakistan?
There are 2 primarily who are actually...
Not 2, more than 2. From Pakistan, but how do you say
No,
Pakistan? There's plenty of Jamaat, but does all the Jamaat apply the concept of the land of Islam? Or working to make Pakistan as a land of Islam? For example, I'll give you an example. So let's just say, forgive someone, for example, like say Jamaat Islamiyya, for example, or Tabligh Jama'ah. If all of a sudden...
Both of them are not.
No.
Yeah, I'm just saying, they both have a different manifesto.
Anyone, let's say today they are taking the leadership. Today they are the government, they are the army, they have the full leadership. Can they apply the concept of the land of Islam, Pakistan?
For Jamaat Islami? Yeah, well, there's a faction there who they might, yeah.
Anyone else?
Not even them properly.
This is my question. Is there something international? Really, Jamaat Islami, like in general, they are the only one at the moment.
Okay, hold on. Now I know where you're coming from. Okay, no. I thought you were just talking about the concept of the... No, the concept exists in Yemen, in Africa, in Sudan, even in Indonesia. The concept is there because why would... See, as soon as the Khilafah went, Muslims naturally started to think it's a natural question to ask as to, okay, nation state, who came up with that? Is that like from Adam al-Islam? No, nation state is not from Adam al-Islam, it's from Winston Churchill, okay? So which means that unless we have a single body to recognize or reckon with, that's the word, reckon with, we're nobody individuals. As a Pakistanis or as an Indian Muslims or Indonesian Muslims, we're just little sheep out of the flock. Okay, that's simple. Everybody still knows that. Jamaat Islami didn't publish it, but I know Maududi because I read Maududi. I have read Maududi more than I've read anybody else. That's the founder of Jamaat Islami. Okay, just like Sayyid Qutb was in. So both of them had the same vision that unless we expand it into and not Emirat but all of the Muslim population should act as or come under a single rule and a system. And even if it's ruled by different governors, the system should be singleton. No, it's not. So why is it not happening? That should be the question. If there is a concept, why is it not spreading? Why is there no appeal? You know what I'm saying? The answer is very simple. And it's a twofold answer. I'm going to give you a simpler answer. The ideology of Tazkiyah-e-Nafs is so attractive. It is so attractive that every selfish man, every timid man, every coward man and woman, anyone is going to be like, oh, this one's from me. This one's awesome because I'm going to go to heaven and I'm going to live by properly with X amount of dollars per year with that kind of mortgage and that kind of car and those kind of vibes. So win-win is like Pauline philosophy of Christianity. Jesus died on the cross. I can do anything. Yeah, you can do everything except you confess your sins, man. Okay, I'll do that. Okay. And then I'm just going to wait. Then thy kingdom is going to come. That's what Muslims are doing. So all of a sudden when Maududis or Qutubs or whoever, doesn't matter, tomorrow someone else is going to come in and he's going to talk about establishing it. Come on, come together Muslims, come together, form a system. All of a sudden your regular selfish interest will be your biggest enemy because every Muslim individual will be like, dude, I think heaven has other ways than whatever you're prescribing for as well. Because my daddy was not wrong, his daddy was not wrong, and his daddy was not wrong, and his daddy used to listen to Mufti Menk. Or whoever, I don't care. He's going to quote a scholar. I'm not dissing Mufti Menk. What I'm saying is, he's going to have a scholar to quote. And I'll be like, dude, Mufti Menk never said this philosophy shouldn't be there. He's talking about values and rituals and behaviors. Why are you thinking he's giving you an ideology? He's not. But this ideology, which is Pauline, by the way, from Saint Paul directly, that for what is to see, well actually it's from Matthew, because he was a tax collector, Jesus never said that, for leave what is to Caesar unto Caesar, and leave whatever is to church unto the church, and that's not our job or whatever Caesar does. Our job is whatever the church is supposed to do, and that is to do, turn the other cheek if somebody else, is still craving to beat me up. That's Pauline philosophy. That's not Muslim philosophy by far, but that is exactly what we think Tazkiyah Nafs has become. And this is what you're going to find in every Muslim lecture. Women and men, all of them are giving the same lecture as Tazkiyah is the pinnacle. And you know what? Ma'arifullah. Come on, find Allah Azza wa Jal. You and your God, that's it. Single line connecting upstairs. Where's the rest of the people? Nafsi, nafsi, nafsi. Everyone's about nafsi. No, Islam is not about nafsi in this world. Islam is nafsi as a warning for the next world. That it will be such a calamity, you'll forget your own. A mother will forget her own son. And she'll be like nafsi. In this planet, those people who will be successful in the hereafter will be those people here who say anfusana. Okay? Not nafsi. Nafsi is a criminal in Islam, here in this planet. That you only thought about yourself? That's how selfish you are? What kind of... even Dalai Lama doesn't think like this. And you think you're going to get away with this, calling yourself a Muslim? Nafsi, nafsi? This is Tazkiyah Nafs. Tazkiyah Nafs, the job of a Muslim is to make sure everyone's Tazkiyah Nafs is done. The lowest common denominator's value and worth rises. And that's only going to be risen if there is the whole system is intact. Otherwise, I'm telling you, Dalai Lama is way more of a Muslim on this definition of Islam than any other Muslim that you can measure of this current definition of Islam. He just doesn't say, Ashhadu Allah ilaha illallah. That's it. Everything else he does way better. And that's the question you cannot also answer. No cleric can answer. What if, Mother Teresa dies? Because you think all of these things are going to go to hell? And this cleric's like, of course, the compulsory question is Ashhadu Allah ilaha illallah. Everything else is gone. But your Rayans are not going to buy this answer anymore. Because that's not the right answer. The right answer is, if there is a system, there is a proper governance system, a political system, an economical system, a trading system. If that is intact, it doesn't matter how many Mother Teresas live or die. It doesn't really matter. Because the lowest common denominator is going to be taken care by the system. We do not need Mother Teresas because she's a reaction to the lack of the performance of a system. Everybody is, every good person is that I got to do it on my own now, buddy, because nobody else is. Yes, sir, you were saying so. We're looking for another mic. If it's somewhere there. I haven't. Pucha aa rahi hai awaaz.
Well, I've got an observation and also a question. I think the main problem is that the system stifles free thinking. It doesn't allow us to think. Whether it is in Muslim majority countries, that's probably more of a severe problem than in countries like Australia, America, where you are, where I am. The system drastically doesn't really allow free thoughts, and that's why there is a big doubt of thought leaders. That's why the Muslims suffering from. We don't have thought leaders.
I agree. What you think, the way you think, is because of the kind of perception that has been made by current Muslim scholarship. No doubt about this. I take the blame as much as anyone else should. We don't give blames. We're Muslims, we take the blames. I am sorry that you think like this. It's not your fault, it's my fault. Again, I'm sorry. So don't take any offense when I take jabs at my last few generations, because they have made us believe as Muslims that Islam is anti-critical thinking, that Islam is anti-questioning, anti-challenge, anti-openness of thought, anti-intellectual. I'm sorry. I apologize to you, Ramin, because people like me made you afraid of Islam. Intellectual bar is a bigger load, a burden upon you when you think of Islam. Even though Islam is exactly the opposite. Abdullah bin Abbas stood up in front of the Sahabas and he says, ask me any question from the universe. The word is universe. Universe. And I'm going to answer it from the Quran. Okay? You understand how big of a claim that is? You need to understand how big of a claim that is. All of the Tabi'ins gave way to the thinking Muslims that came up with all the theories which all of these current scientists are thriving upon. Al-Khwarizmi says, my pathways to heavens are in the Quran, and my calculations to those pathways are also in the Quran, which is algebra. You need to understand, he was the most appreciated man in Muslim Ummah, and I am one of those people who are going to be soon banned around Pakistani media because I say mathematics is, Quran gives birth to mathematics or physics or biology. We can improve physics and biology and mathematics if you only knew Quran properly. I opened this project last week in Islamabad. Of course, we're not going to do it in Islamabad because of the climate and weather of that. Inshallah, my students, a source code, which we are working on right now, are going to install the most powerful telescope in the planet in Pakistan by constructing it themselves. It is that simple. First step, that's first step, that's step one. You know what step two is? Step two is not just looking at it, aiming for it. That's how rocket and rocket science is made. This is pure space science. Because I know my Prophet told me, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that this is the first heaven, muzayyana sama' dunya. This is the sama' dunya which is adorned by the stars. There's 500 years of water, and then there's another. And then there's 500 years of water, and then there's another. And there's 7 heavens. And this scientist thinks this microwave background is a Big Bang, and everything else is explained. No, it's not. That's just your first heaven, at best. Muslims have a way bigger geometry of the universe, which non-Muslims can't even comprehend, let alone do the math for. If we can actually put the symmetry of Islam and Islamic teaching inside our children so that they can actually improve pure physics and mathematics, that's when people are going to run after Muslims as holders of the Quran. Because I know, and I'm going to present it to you inshallah, all of my faculty members are working day and hard, and I can do it right now, but this is not the topic of how I'm going to open the mathematics in front of you, and algebraic topology I'm going to prove through Hazrat Uzair alayhi salam, when Allah Azza wa Jal killed him and made him come to life muscle fiber by muscle fiber. Right in front of him. That's topology right there. Measured by algebra right there. Calculus is what? Rate of change of something compared or relative to something else. We can do the math on this one. What do you think Saleh's, the she-camel came out? What do you think? Lights went out and all of a sudden lights came out, there was a big camel? No. The whole process of that camel coming. Of course, it happened in nanoseconds, but it came as a process. These are all signs. And the way we are taught Quran, لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على الجبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. Muslims have been being taught as if this is na'udhu billah poetry. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala says, تِلْكَ الْأَمْثَالُ نَضْرِبُهَا لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُم يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. That if Allah Ta'ala bestowed, or this was descended upon a mountain, this Quran, the mountain would have disintegrated. And then you know what Allah Ta'ala says? Allah Ta'ala doesn't say it is poetry. Allah Ta'ala says, this is an example so that you can use your brain. Use your brain as to what I'm trying to say here. This is an ayah of the Quran. Ayah means a sign that this is something way bigger than what you're comprehending right now. This is not poetry. When Allah is saying, use it as a sign, where He's saying, oh, these are mutashabihat. Na'udhu billah. Allah Ta'ala is saying, لَعَلَّكُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And Muslims are saying, no, these are mutashabihat. This is what Pakistani scholarship is. This is mutashabihat. You think Allah is going to say mutashabihat and then say, use your brain on mutashabihat? You think this is not a reason why our kids are running away from Islam? Because these Dawkins and Hawkins are giving them the answers. They're not going to use the Quran. They're going to use something which is against the Quran. You know what that is? Just primal psychology, biased, loaded statements, raking with nothing but their own shame of them being Christians in their own age, of wherever, that natural psychology of a Christian would be reactive, the way Paul did whatever he did with the Bible. Any Christian becoming an atheist, I don't blame him. I don't just blame. Actually, I recognize Richard Dawkins as one of those guys. Good job, man. Somebody should come out of this Pauline book called Bible. God didn't write it, Paul wrote it. Some guy wrote it. So yeah, you better be repulsed from it. But you just start jabbing at the Quran. Most of these people have not even read a single surah of the Quran. Some even just 5 or 6 hand-picked ayahs so that they can make fun and try and use their podiums as their arguments. So that our kids can think, oh, you know what, this guy is a scientist and he thinks Quran is saying this and that. He must be right. That's not, if a scientist says something stupid, doesn't make it scientific. It just remains stupid. Okay? Yes, sir.
Thanks, Brother Sahil, for awakening our thoughts. So my question is, you have mentioned quite thought-provoking ideas. So how we can inculcate these ideas in ourselves, in our generation? And when we say our generation, these generation are rather becoming proactive to become or bring any system. They are struggling with deism and immanence. These immanence and the transcendence are the main concept. Where they understand one thing, they can accept it. And when they struggle to understand something, this thing exists either in Quran, in Sunnah, or in our Aslaf. And if they cannot understand this thing through transcendence, they disagree with it and deny it. And that's how they become away from Islam or Deen. So what would be the starting point from them? So rather than become the part of deism or atheism, how they can become the effective or active person to bring this system which you are talking about.
Let me give you an example.
And one last thing, when at the starting point, Islam say, Quran say, "Avalam yakfihim anna anzalna alaykal kitab." Book is already there. Still we are confused. What would be the starting point for us in this country? Thank you.
I personally believe that people in Australia or America or England, well, especially Scandinavia, zoom in, man, zoom in. Especially Scandinavia. I'll tell you why I said Scandinavia, okay? Because most people think America is calling the shots, but no. Scandinavia is calling the shots on what? Psychology of our Muslim child. Not just Muslim, every child. They're calling the shots, they're orchestrating it really well. In about 10 years from now, you're going to see Norwegian and Finnish, well, not Finnish, but at least Swedish, as one of those languages daughters and sons are going to be speaking through Netflix or whatever you're going to learn it from. They're naturally going to be pulled towards it. Okay. School systems and your educational norms are going to be set by Scandinavia. Just a little word to the wise. Now, your question is simple. I personally believe that Muslims in Arab or Turkey or Pakistan, India, or wherever the Muslim majority is, not India, sorry. India is not a majority. But India has a flavor of so many, 350 million Muslims in India. So I'm not going to just call it a minority. But Muslims in Indonesia, Pakistan, Arabs and all of that, they are going to take their sweet time because of the 2 or 3 blocks at their intellectual and emotional core. They're going to take their time. And change is going to happen from them, because overseas Muslims are not enough, sorry. Even if all the Arabs, all the non-Arabs combine overseas and they do whatever they can, they're not enough in number to bring a bigger change. If Muslims in Arab and Africa and Indonesia and Pakistan, they combine or they start changing, it's going to happen like this. Because 90% of us are still in Muslim lands. Now, but the problem is, Muslim land is a depleted land in 3 different realms. Number 1, intellectual core, not just money. Money is number 3. Number 3 is money. Resources, the least amount of resources we have is Muslim lands. Okay. The least amount of intellect, yeah, Muslim lands. Okay, that's the problem. Overseas Muslims can solve right away. Pakistanis cannot solve it in Pakistan, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm a Pakistani. We should understand where the problem is. If I'm not going to admit the stick is broken, I'm not going to fix it. So kids in Canberra, better light the torch for kids in Islamabad. Better. Because you have the handicap right now. Right now, you are exposed, you're well structured. I'm not talking about mannerism, because Australia has way better mannerism than Pakistan. Okay? If anyone wants to do tazkiyah, they should bring their kids for 2-3 years. Their kids will have awesome tazkiyah and then they take back a belief system and everything. Okay. I'm talking about that knowledge set, that exposure, that aperture, that general IQ. And then in those fields which actually matter, you train your kids, especially daughters. Train your kids in STEM fields which are going to take over. As soon as enough Muslims enter into the intellectual world, for example, name any 3 Muslims who have won the Fields Medal. And I'm not saying that's the purpose of life. No. I'm just saying it's a little test going on in the world. Everybody jumps into it. Any 3 Muslims? Can you believe that? Can you believe that you guys cannot tell 3 names? And you're in Canberra. At least you know what a Fields Medal is. So Muslims are not entering the Fields Medal. I'll tell you what's the problem. I'm not here to project mathematics or physics. I'm here to project Quran, right? The problem is, you only follow the book of the guy who's calling the shots on the guys. If your alpha is not holding the Quran, you're not going to hold the Quran. If your alpha is holding, what's the word? But the Bible, you're going to hold the Bible. If your alpha is holding mathematics, you're going to hold mathematics. Whatever your alpha is, when a superior psychology comes in, every inferior psychology mimics it and starts to become that superior psychology. That's basic common science. Not science, science. Everyone wants, that's why I asked you, if given a chance, Muslims jump into the, STEM fields, and with this current psychology, they're going to the STEM fields. And I'm telling you, overseas Muslims are going to jump into mathematics or physics naturally, because probability says that. Even if you don't want them to, they are still going to pick up physics or chemistry or maths or biology, right? And computer sciences. And some of them One of them is going to feel like the Iranian child. She's like the most wonderful human being that came in from Iran and just won the fields medal, right? So someone else is going to do that. But they're not going to project Islam. You know why? Because they're going to be chasing mathematics for the sake of mathematics. I need you to understand, my purpose is not STEM. I want STEM as an instrument, because I know how psychology works. So if a Muslim child tells the world that I found this mathematics, the urge and the surge of mathematics through the Quran, then people are going to follow the Quran because of its credibility of mathematics. That's what I want our kids to be. You guys are halfway there. I'm not talking about Canberra. Halfway means you are not those people who are ashamed of Islam. I swear to you, you will be if you do not change the definition of self-esteem and self-worth right now. Because your kids will be confused and their kids will be ashamed. And we have started the confusion, the ball of confusion right now. Ask any child. He's going to know way more about the identity he relates to, which has nothing to do with Islam, than the identity he relates to, which has everything to do with Islam. 1% of the Muslim household, 1%, is actually training the Muslim on the Prophet's seerah. 1%. And Hussein al-Salam said, there was not a man, a boy in child who was not trained on the Maghazi. Not a boy left in Arab who is not trained on Maghazi. You know Maghazi? Yeah. That's the model. That's, you know, I just today or maybe yesterday night, this CNN or Fox, this black guy and this Alan Dershowitz fighting with each other, and they're claiming that, Palestinians are trained to hate Israeli Jews. Look at the school curriculum and they're showing kids their videos, you know, even though literally every school in Israel does that. Okay? And Palestinians don't get trained on how to hate a Jew or how to kill a Jew. They actually are indoctrinated, the Jewish kids. But you know, this what's his called, Hannity or whatever his name is, this newscaster, and Alan Dershowitz is, as usual, being himself. And this black Harvard professor is running for president of America this time. He's the one who's, you know, defending he's not saying that, you know what, I'm hollering to the Muslim. He's saying, you know what, call a spade, man. When a Palestinian child dies, nobody cries. And this time you're making up these 40 children dead. And everyone's crying. A child is a child. So it's a neutral stance. I'm not for that guy. What I'm saying is, as soon as I heard that clip, I saw that video, I was like, hold on. Are you telling me that you know that this basic psychology framework is applicable and is being done somewhere? So a child needs to be taught, and if it's not a child, or if it's my age or it's somebody else, it's not going to work. So it has to be a child that has to be trained at the right age on the right emotional spectrum, so that the values and the whole emotional makeup is set up, and if it is set up once, it's done for life. So the technique is there. Everybody knows it. We just don't do it. You know who does it? I'll tell you, Aslam, who does this? YouTube. And YouTube is not going to train your child seerah. He's going to train your child Kim Kardashian. And whatever is related, the whole algorithm. The algorithm is not spread around. And even if he does, for example, even if he does go into Islamic literature, this is what he's going to get. He's not going to get the real and right answers. That's a vicious circle. And all the Muslim turbans are going to be hanging around him, and he'll be like, you know what, I'm doing everything right. But nothing's going to happen. Nothing. That's what I'm saying. I need physicists and mathematics from your households. I swear, they're the pawns in the game, I'm telling you. The real king on the board is your son or daughter. You know who's that? That that child is going to be the philosopher who's going to bring all the Muslims together in the ideology of Islam. He's going to use the mathematicians and the physicists and the biologists. She's born, I'm telling you, maybe this is the girl. Look at her. Maybe, maybe she is it. Because we need a child of this age, because I need that 20 years of learning momentum, because right now, even if I start right now, I still need 20 years. So if I get 20 years, I'm not going to survive. She has, inshallah, way more than 20 years. I might as well just give her the momentum, make her the philosopher, and she's going to torch the whole, show the light to the whole world. But I'm not using this child's age as a factor. I'm treating her like a 6-year-old. Every woman is.
मेरा भी related question है, आप अगर ले लें तो वो आपका थोड़ा addition हो जाएगा कि आप एक psychologist, मैं उर्दू में बात करूँगी, एक psychologist होते हुए भी आपने relate किया immigration को और हमारी self esteem को as an immigrant, जो शुरू में आप जब मैंने connect किया था, तो आपको क्या लगता है कि हम अपने बच्चों को कैसे उनकी self esteem strong कर सकते हैं, जबकि हमारी अपनी self esteem strong नहीं है और हम मतलब first generation जो कि overseas आए हैं, आपने कहा कि 2-3 generation के बाद वो self esteem खत्म हो जाएगी.
True. Listen, I'll give you a formula for self-esteem. It's not my formula. It's not because I'm a Muslim or anything. It's a non-Muslim formula. It's called Viktor Frankl. Okay? Listen to me. I'm going to be very clear, neutral. If Allah is not the reason why you do everything, then you better not have any self-esteem. Then you're becoming narcissist. You're becoming Satan in Pharaoh. You need to understand that. You're not supposed to have self-esteem unless it is God-oriented. You have to do everything for Allah. In Islam, the concept is very simple. Wala ul bara. What is wala ul bara? Anybody? Think about it. You haven't heard about this? Wala ul bara? Yeah. Who's saying it? Well, no, that's the phrase. In Arabic, it means I love for Allah and I hate for Allah. Okay? I love whoever I love for Allah and I hate whoever. I am going to be close to somebody for Allah and I'm going to be away from somebody for the sake of Allah. Bara means barat. Barat means, to let go, let's abstain. And wala means walayat. Dosti. Okay? Bara. So, self-esteem is what? What is self-esteem? Wala al-bara, central core, self-esteem. So, I'm just telling you this right now. Unless you know the Prophet ﷺ, unless you know him, because he's the only example of true God orientation. So, make her Muhammad, otherwise, please do not give her self-esteem. Because if she gets that other self-esteem, like Kim Kardashian self-esteem, then she is going to be the problem for everybody else. Her esteem is going to bulldoze everybody else. You understand me? I'll show you some women and men with self-esteem and no Islam. You think they don't have self-esteem? Of course they have self-esteem. You think Pharaoh did not have self-esteem? Oh, awesome self-esteem. So self-esteem is not the purpose. The purpose actually begets self-esteem. Purpose is the purpose. Self-esteem is not the purpose. Self-esteem is a byproduct, which is of course necessary. Unless we have self-esteem and self-worth and self-confidence, how dare you walk the streets of Canberra as a Muslim? Those black people in the 70s had a million more times self-esteem in slave America than Muslims right now in free Australia and free America. Imagine that. And we are not even 1% in the criminal registry rate that the blacks are in the American registry rate. Most of the crimes are committed by that community. And still, they're not ashamed of the fact that I didn't commit a crime, and I'm still going to stand my ground. And here, as a Muslim, I'm the first man I'm going to change. You know what today I found out? Today, I found out that there's so many Muslim Australians who have not registered themselves as Muslims.
Sir, this is a related question.
Did you know that? Everybody knew that in this room? There is a sizable chunk of Muslims who have told Australia that they're not Muslims.
Sir, this question is also kind of related, but it's a collective question, so I'm asking on some people which are not here. So basically, it's how to deal with the downplays and mocking that women, especially professional young parents, who choose to stay home for parenting reasons. How do we deal with that?
You're being mocked for staying home as a woman?
Yes, we do. And we get downplays. And this is a collective question.
Is that something new surprising for you guys, just like I? Yeah.
And this is a collective question.
No, it's not. Everybody's denouncing it. Do you think women are being denounced in Australia for staying home as Muslims? I don't. That's a surprise for me.
This is a collective question.
That's an exception. That's not a rule. We don't. It's not a rule. You are going through that, no doubt about this. But
it's a collective question. Yeah.
I mean, I think professional women who are not working.
Hold on. Let me get this straight. Are you telling me that in Australia, women, well, you guys, Muslim women, I'm going to shrink the sample by calling Muslim women. Otherwise, general women can also be applicable here. That you guys are being ridiculed for being home. Ridiculed for staying home and taking care of your kids. It's okay, don't be so loud. I get that you are two people. Raise your hands if you know that this is what I'm talking about. You guys go through some sort of battery. People call you useless. You don't have a job, you're a useless sloth. Okay. Yeah. By whom? By whom? By women?
Well, it's both ways.
नहीं आपको औरतें तंग करे आदमी? Yeah. मुझे तो आपने देखें मेरे दिमाग में घड़ी मेरी बंद है. You tell me the break, I'll break because we're gonna break now because I've taken enough questions. Listen, I gotta go to. Let me just give you a schedule. The macro schedule is we're gonna be in contact for coming together in social media only, like Zoom sessions only, and I'm going to be sending you the next sessions from Melbourne and Sydney and Perth and all the sessions on those groups. And so that you can know what happened after this, okay? After this, because I'm going to add on, not add on, I'm going to build up prior to this and add on a lot of into this in Sydney because I got to build the context because they didn't attend this session, so I got to build this context. But in Melbourne, it's a totally different, inshallah, session. Totally different session. It's a concept that is the same, but I'm angling it differently. And I might just take it to Perth with the angle of Melbourne. So, I have to leave right now. The group will have all the questions that you will have. Just write it down. And I will definitely be a part of that group myself, that WhatsApp group, so that you can ask me directly. I am a part of no WhatsApp group anymore. This will be a WhatsApp group first this year for me so that I can attend to you because this is an awakening tour. I need to be aware of what you guys are asking. I will be coming in, inshallah, at least once a month for 2 or 3 hours on Zoom so that all of us can come together, not in this room, but in your own comfort of your own homes, that we can talk and you can come up with multiple arrays of ideas and suggestions as to how to improve that next step that I'm going to propose, or you can propose and we can discuss and improve that. So, any question before the namaz break? Then we will not just get a namaz break, we will take a Sydney break, okay? What I have is a long drive. I am not flying, I'm driving there. And I have not slept for the last 48 hours for you guys. I couldn't even sleep even if I wanted. I tried last night, I just couldn't. So what I'm saying is that There's a lot of times I miss out on my next word because of this reason.
Yeah.
No, you can ask a few questions. It's all right.
One more question. I promise it's the last one.
No, you're being the mic though.
Okay. So my question is, what knowledge or teachings can we give our children or for the future generation or the young generation with what you have talked about today in perspective of...
Don't take the mic out.
In perspective of the psychological and the other teachings you have given. So yeah, that's...
Okay, I'll tell you.
And
I'll tell you a list of things that you, you're a mother?
Yeah, I'm a mother.
Yeah, I'll tell you what a mother, in the first 5 years, in the next 5 years, and the next 5 years. I'll tell you a general perspective.
Other than role modeling and teaching the way of life in the, yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. There's some certain things a man cannot do to his kids in terms of build up. I cannot do. That's the job of a woman. And she's gifted by Allah so that she can deliver that expertise that she has, that competence. And then there's certain things a man can do which you cannot, okay? Don't try, don't get tired. But that comes after the 12th and 13th year of a child's life. We become real fathers after the 13th year, which we don't, by the way. We've absolved ourselves from the duty. After the 12th and 13th year, we need to take him in the ship and make sure that he travels with us every day. Okay? In the next 6, 7 years. After he's 17, 18, 19, you're not supposed to be in his ship, nor is he supposed to be in your ship. Okay? But we don't do that. We don't model a child like this. We make sure that our child stays with us for 20 years, and then he becomes my biggest advocate, my biggest lawyer against whatever is going to happen if something happens to me. So you're treating him as like a business asset. Okay? That's mighty selfish of you, and that if we're just selfish, I would have been okay, because I'm used to selfish people, everybody is. But that's malicious. You're killing the capability, you're ruining the fabric of that child's not only innocence, but the bigger purpose as well. Muslim children are not supposed to grow up to protect their mothers. That's not the purpose of Muslim boys. Muslim boys are supposed to grow up to protect all women. Okay, you are raising Muslim child to protect you against other women of the family. His family. And you know that, it's all right. You're a pupa of somebody, So we have gone through this. That's why we never respect women. You know why? Because our woman, the mother, disrespected the other women, our pupas or whoever, or dadi. And then all of a sudden we were like, okay, it's not every woman, it's just one woman that I'm supposed to protect. Okay? You know what you're doing? You're killing the capability of your own Muslim son. And then you make sure he watches Urtagal, and all of a sudden, you know what he goes through? I'm a lower inferior being. Because I can't even do the math on how these guys are thinking. All Urtagal had was a good mother. Nothing else. A fair mother. That's the power that you have, which we can't possibly replace, because the child is not going to be with us. We don't have wombs or the cradles or the patience or the temperament to raise a child from 0 to 10 or whatever age that you can easily do. Okay? Yes. Last question, please.
Sahil, one more question. Can I just ask a question?
Sure, right after her. Yes.
To join to raise the kids, but I'm thinking I'm fine without that. Okay. In my my observation is saying that if for 12 years only the woman is raising the kids and most of the duties are performing by a mother, 12 years, the Pakistani man, after 12 years, it is very difficult to engage a Pakistani Muslim man or husband, partner to engage in raising the child. So what strategies, how we can engage them?
Your husband?
I'm at a stage, I'm having difficulty.
Your husband. You want to engage your husband?
Yeah.
How did you engage him to get married to you?
It was an arranged marriage.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. After that, you engaged him plenty.
It's not.
Listen, I'll tell you something honestly. I'll tell you something. Forget psychology, just common sense. A man is the easiest prey for any woman. And you can't even prey on your own man. That's your incompetence. Make sure you understand that. A girl or a woman who is going to be half as competent as you are, because he's not going to know anything about him, is going to capture his attention and engagement 24/7 right in front of you with half the wits that you have. You have all the data about this guy and you still cannot capture him and engage him?
I can, but not for the kids. I can engage him, but he is...
Oh, we know that. That's what I'm saying. You have a noble purpose and we know that you can engage him. We just want you to think about the child and make sure that you understand the man's psychology. Now, most men that I know, most Pakistani men that I know, they treat their wives as their mothers. I keep telling them, why did you get married, man? You should have told your father to get married. You wanted a mommy. Why did you get married? Psychologically, all you wanted was a mommy. Then you should have asked dad, why don't you get another wife? Because I like to, obey orders and, be subservient. That's what classical man-child is doing right now. He's just not living up to his potential of, and you know what, most women, you guys want a leader in the house. You need the leader in the house. You judge him for not being enough leader as a man, as a fair, true, highly scoped leadership material that you want in a man. Actually, you throw a lot of sarcastic comments which provocative speeches come from wives about men not being enough men to their husbands. And that actually is, pretty hurtful, actually as much as it can possibly get. So you want the men to be men. But when they want to be men, other than the scope that requires, them being men around you, all of a sudden you want them to be women. And not just women, your daughters. You want your husbands to become literally like your daughters, like no masculinity altogether. Just, remain in this box and be a man in this box. That's not how manhood works, okay? This is supposed to be a very wonderful creature, this man. Look at him. Wonderful. All the progress in the planet has been done by this creature, not this creature. All the progress, all the inventions, all the science, all the space science, all the mechanical science, all the industry, this guy. Not this guy. And you want to lower the potential of this guy? Use him. He's a perfect slave. For the biggest good of progress, no, as a son, as your sons, not as your husbands. He's the perfect candidate for the progress of all human beings, your daughters, their granddaughters. I'm trying to wake the woman in you. You need to understand that. Zero inventions, zero progress, zero literature, zero intellectual acumen. Nothing comes from the womankind. Yeah, Very seriously. Actually, so serious that I'm crying about this. Actually, I can. I'll tell you why. Because if it were not that general, we would have had at least noticeable examples. Give me 3 Nobel, forget Nobel Prize, but that's too high. That's too high. Let's just lower the threshold. Which is a woman famous for her intellectualism? Oh, no, hold on, let me finish the question. I'm going to make it very easy for you. That's it? That's it? That's what you got? No, I know. I want girls to argue. See, I'm not, listen, I need you to argue all your life. I'll tell you why. I do not find enough girls arguing. Okay? When you say that in 1,000 years of this history of human beings have achieved this and that, okay? We all know that we mean men. And I'm not proud of it because I'm a man. I have daughters. I need women to be, at least, if not more, than at least significant contributors to the progress of human beings. Forget 50-50 or whatever. I don't care. It's not a competition. But you didn't even enter the competition if it were one. One writer, you want to compare the list? You want to give me 10? No, you can't. I'll tell you why. Oh-ho. No, keep going. Why did you stop at 2? Why did you stop at 2? Keep naming names. Because that's all you got. No, give me more names. Oh, I need more names for the sake of my daughter's name is Hijab. Listen, you're not listening to my question. I'm helping you. My daughter's name is Hijab. I need more names for Hijab. There are not enough names. That's what I'm saying. Maybe you entered this campus late. All I'm saying is God gave you bigger brains. And we happen to use it better? No, we didn't. Look at the moral compass of the man. We're not using our brains better. The fact is, we're not even using it enough, as much as any other animal is using its brain for, given the fact that, whatever proportion of brain it got. And still, I don't see enough girls in the battlefield, especially intellectual, especially towards the progress of the bigger numbers. Okay, you're not here to have babies. You're here to make great human beings. Otherwise, this is going to happen. Look at us. Look at us. Can't even cross the street without getting confused as to where is my morality. Where did it go? Did I even have it to begin with? Can't argue myself out of any culture, ethnicity, creed, philosophy, ideology. Can't. Imagine the irony of that guy who gets inspired by every YouTube video. Imagine. How low can that guy be? He gets inspired by every single category of videos. So this is a problem. You know how it started? Because standards are too low. The benchmarks are too low. Okay? I hope and I pray more women jump into calling the shots on, how to raise IQs and, raise the IQs. And I'm talking about girls as smartest girls in the world. No. I'm talking about girls wise enough to write about how to raise, the IQs or make smart people, let alone girls or boys. I'm talking about contribution towards invention or improvisation at least, of how to maneuver ourselves out of these problems that we're, stuck in. If not intellectual core, then at least in the social, clusters that we've already isolated ourselves into. We can, and women can easily, because you know what, your experience index is, your spectrum is way, way wider. You could have given a way quicker solution because you feel the problem way deeper. And you know what, we're just hoaxing it out, but still giving out solution. Hoaxing it, but still giving it. And sometimes, you know, the shoe fits, and, you know, the bullet hits the target, and, you know, we claim the throne, and then all of a sudden patriarchal this and patriarchal that. No, that's not going to jive with me. Patriarchy did not step on you. Anyone would have stepped on you. You didn't rise up. That's what I'm saying. And Islam gives you enough of an arsenal to fight the intellectual fight. You have examples like Aisha bint Abi Bakr, who, when Abdullah bin Abbas, the greatest of the scholars, comes in and he shows his confidence, and Aisha bint Abi Bakr says, you're not going to teach me on how to think about Islam. I'm going to tell you of what Islam is. Okay? Because he's talking about the Quran, Surah Najm and Miraj, and the Prophet ﷺ seeing Allah Azza wa Jal, and she says, listen, you're crossing a line which only a non-Muslim would cross. I don't care for your intellectual core, because you're underestimating the power of belief, over the power of intellect. This is how simple, you know, I'm going to make it to you, that if you have your self-worth, self-esteem developed as a woman or as a man, I mean, in this case as a woman, doesn't matter the biggest scholar of the time. The biggest scholar of the time comes in, you're still going to stand your ground and teach him a lesson. And he says, you know, she did teach me a lesson. Ummul Mu'mineen taught me a lesson I'm never going to forget. Oh yeah, yeah. Umar al-Khattab, the Umar al-Khattab, which a regular man would just, you know, just shy away and like, I can't even face him, let alone argue with him. And this girl stands up and says, and not just one, Khawla did that. And you know what he said about Khawla? That I'm trying to evade Khawla every time I see him. So I need confidence. That sister, that little girl, what's her name? I'm sorry? Anha. I need more Anhas, you know, stirring the whole thing up. We need them. You need them. I have daughters, so I need her, you know, but you need them. So that, the snowball starts rolling, and, you all of a sudden become, that's what useful is. Somebody says useless for whatever category that you were. I'm complaining, you're useless, or you are, if you're not mentally, intellectually activating other people and getting the things done. Prophet ﷺ said, if you're today is not better than yesterday, you have not embraced Islam yet. Now, I'm paraphrasing, of course, he used the word moment. A moment is a moment whose tomorrow is better than today. There has to be a progress meter, and there has to be a visible change. What kind of change? We don't even measure change. And you know what? I swear, I'm telling you, this guy, boy, grown guy, he said, sir, now I pray 5 times. Yesterday I wasn't. God, are you kidding me? That's not today or yesterday. You were not even a Muslim yesterday, man.
6:23 finishing. Asr time.
Yeah.
Finishing.
Okay, guys. Don't want you to miss your asrs. I gotta pray Zohar Asr together, so I gotta run. Okay, so we gotta run. We gotta run, like literally run. I really wanna thank you for your patience and time. I really appreciate this. I must tell you that you are the reason I am carrying the torch of hope. I had given up. I swear I had given up. Okay? It is your pressure, your vigor, your zest and zeal that is giving me hope. There are no coincidences. Chance pe nahi ho raha, tukke pe nahi मैं डराया हूं. अल्लाह के यहाँ तुक्के नहीं हैं. दुनिया के कोने में मैं आ गया हूं और आप लोगों के सामने खड़ा हूं. ये तुक्का नहीं लगा हुआ. Okay? किसी वजह से आपको ये बातें सुनाई गई हैं, किसी वजह से मेरे मुंह से only Allah makes the tongue move. I can't even think unless Allah wants me to think, let alone speak. That requires a lot of muscles, So I am leaving with hope, and I'm leaving with enough contentment that, you know what, as long as we delivered a certain message, it will have some echoes in our personal lives and hopefully our communal life. Hopefully. Communal life, yeah. That's, and if you're not connected, sorry, then you know what, we were just playing game with our own kids. If we're not connected for the sake of our kids, then we're not sincere with our own kids. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Thank you, everyone.
Sure.
I just wanted to say personally, thank you very much for coming all the way.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care. Sure, sure, of course.
I'm a surgeon.
Oh.
Look, I became a better Muslim because of these guys. So I had to actually read the Quran myself, so I can teach them. My wife was a big contributor. Ab ghar mein hum namaz karte hain, and these guys, they stand up and they offer the praise, the Lord's voice.